Hello again, Filter Free America podcast listeners. Joey Vincent back in your ears, whether you like it or not. Here we are together again. Holy crap, man, adjusted levels there. Microphone might be just a little too hot for how I'm feeling today. Okay. Holy cow. This episode you are about to hear may sink the ship, ladies and gentlemen, may bring us down, may end everything that we've built together here at the Filter Free America podcast compound. It may bring down the walls. It may cause protests in the street. Yeah, it's going to be a rough one for some. It's going to be a hilarious one for others. It's going to be disgusting. It's going to be, to some, it's going to be entertaining to others. It's going to be maybe academic to some. Maybe it's going to be like a case study. Maybe to get into like the mind and the psychosis, the inner workings of the machinations of what do you want to brand this gentleman as? Man, this guy who I interviewed, he can only be described as what's a clinical term? Sex enthusiast? Maybe? That's a gentle way to put it. Yeah, it's, man, this is going to be a rough one, man. And this is the thing, man, it says it in the name. It's Filter Free America. That means filterless, right? So when I have conversations with people, you know, there's no holds barred. There's not, right? If I think that the person I'm going to talk to is going to have an interesting story, I'm going to sit down with them and I'm going to record that story. And I'm going to have a conversation with it. I'm going to try to make jokes. I'm going to try to have fun with it as much as possible, right? That's the goal of this podcast, okay? Sometimes it's going to be something you're going to learn something from. Sometimes it's going to be an interesting story of survival and compassion. Sometimes it's going to be, like the Al Diddy, episode where we expose corruption and the Minneapolis Police Department and things like that, you know. That's not what this episode's about, though. That's not what this one's about. No. Our guest is he's so many things. He's so many things. He's an online personality. He is an aspiring author. He is a blogger, an advice columnist. He's all of these things. But I think the majority of his work, it's work, centers around grimy sex, greasy sex. Is that accurate? I hope. Yeah. So his moniker, his name that he goes by is Teebie Smalls. Teebie Smalls. You see that in the name of the episode. Of course, not his given name, but that is his profile name on Facebook and the name that he writes under and so forth. And basically, you know, I know him through mutual friends. He is an actual real person, and the stories that he writes about are, as far as I know, and are inspired by or real stories, right? I don't think there's much embellishment here. I think this is really, you know, who he is and how he operates and you know, in his world. So yeah, I'm going to warn you ahead of time. There's going to be lots of politically incorrect conversation. There's going to be misogynistic references and talk. There's going to be culturally insensitiveness and racially insensitiveness to a degree, not excessive. There's slight things in there. As I listened back, I caught a couple things on there that would be perceived as that. Though like I said, I've known this gentleman for quite some time. I've never heard him say anything hateful or racial or anything like that. So I can't, put those things, that jacket on him. But I do know how the population is reacting to certain things right now in the world. So I can see how a couple things that are said would be perceived as that. Okay, so I just want to put that disclaimer out there and let you know going up front. So if you need a trigger warning, boom, there it is. There's another episode with a trigger warning, okay? This dude, good golly, I'm trying to find more descriptors. I mean, this is what it is, man. If you're a young dude and you're getting boners and you're just, and pussy is your life, this dude is going to be your hero, okay? Got that? But if you're a feminist, this dude's going to be a villain. I don't think I can make it any clearer than that, what you're about to hear, okay? Hero to some, villain to others. Yeah. Oh, man, this is, I feel actual palpable tension as I prepare to release this episode off into the world, because I don't know what kind of reaction it's going to have. I don't know. Could be good, could be bad, could be a combination of both. Could be fighting him off at the studio door any day now. Who knows? We'll see. Basically, this dude is like a monk, except instead of like praying, the dude just fucks a lot. You know, right? He's like a fucking monk. Not like, look at that fucking monk over there. No, he's a monk that fucks a lot. Right? And there's not if we all have a moral compass, right? We all have a moral compass, right? His moral compass, the little dial is just spinning. It's just fucking spinning. Just bzz, 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 bzz. And then the little hand that usually points north that's spinning on his moral compass, it's just a dick. It's a dick. That's what it is. Okay? So, I don't know. That's enough warning for you. Okay, you know what you're getting into now. When you push play, we've already pushed play. But if you continue to listen, that's what you're going to get. Okay, you're not required to listen to every single episode of the Filter Free America podcast. I'm not holding the gun to your head, or in this case, we're not holding a dick to your head. All right, though he's probably into that, dicks and guns to heads. That might be something he's into. Don't know. I don't know. Okay. I will tell you this also. This is also a long episode, and I chose not to edit a drop of it. I listened back to it last night as I was processing it, and I'm like, you know what? This is art. This is brutal art, and I'm going to leave it as it is, and I don't want to touch it. I'm just going to let it be what it is. It's a long one, man. It's a long one. You may take a couple sessions. But again, in that length, you also get depth. And that's not a sexual reference, though it could be, considering what we're talking about. But you get a lot of depth of personality and who this person is. You get some obvious stuff from him, and you get a lot of the subtle stuff from him. And you get that from the length of these kind of long, drawn-out, long-form conversations. So, I don't know. Maybe you need a long gym session, maybe a long road trip, long flight. This is the perfect one for it. But holy cow, strap yourself on. Because, I mean, some people are going to be, as you listen, you're going to be grinding your teeth in anger and frustration. And, oh, my God, this is like the Terminator of misogyny, right? Right? If they were to make a spoof movie of the Terminator movies, where this robot is like not just like a killing machine, but he's like a misogynistic Terminator machine. This is who they would cast and build a character around. And then, like, his most famous line, "I'll be back," would be like, "I'll be back to fuck you." That would be like the fucking line. You get what I'm saying? Okay? Yeah, it's... Some people are going to masturbate during this episode. I know it. It's not going to be a large percentage, but it's not going to be zero, right? It's going to be like 1 to 3%. In Germany, maybe 5%, because you guys are some fucking freaks out there, okay? Yeah, so there's going to be some masturbation during this. There's going to be some erections had when you get through some of these stories, okay? It's going to happen, all right? Now, last thing I'm going to say about this episode, if you make it to the end, if you survive this new crucible of podcasting, the last story is, oh my God. The very last story may be, quite possibly is, the most disgusting, gross, nasty, filthy sex story ever told, ever captured on podcast, and at least it's the most disgusting one I've ever heard, and yeah, I'm pretty nasty myself. Ask any of the ladies who've had the pleasure. So now we're all primed for that, right? All right. Let's knock out the sponsor real fast before we name this episode. Simplewebsite.us. 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 Boy, did you guys know what you were signing up for when you agreed to be the sponsor of this show. Simplewebsite.us is the place you need to go if you're building a Squarespace website, right? If you go there, if you go to simplewebsite.us, you will find wonderful people who are skilled beyond the highest level of Squarespace building skills, right? If the average person is a 5 to 6, these people are like a 19,000, right? These guys are masters in the dark arts of Squarespace building, right? They've done it all, seen it all. They are proficient, skillful, and great people to work with, and they want to help you make the most out of your Squarespace website, right? We get it. It's easy to do. You can do it on your own. Eventually, you can figure it out. A little bit of tinkering here and there. You got it, right? But these people have figured it all out. They've done it. They know what to do. You tell them, hey, I want this, 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 and this. And they say, okay, boom, 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 boom. Here it is. And by the way, we got some ideas for you. Boom, 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 boom. Here, now look at this. It's even better. And you're like, holy shit, here's some money. Boom. Right? End of story. Yeah, that's how they do it, right? Yeah, but it's not just that, because you can go to simplewebsite.us. You can get some free stuff too. They have some free videos that you can watch to help you do it on your own, right? That's how good they are. That's how confident they are, right? It's like, you know what? You don't want to give us some money? You don't want us to do it for you? Fine. But we're so good, we're just going to give you some free stuff too. So if you're planning on building a Squarespace website, go there first before you do anything else. Go to simplewebsite.us and at least get the knowledge, at least get the free stuff. Take the free stuff, right? Or if you get held up, you get some problems, maybe you just have one little simple issue. You don't have to pay for them to do everything. You can just say, hey, I just need a little bit of help, right? And then they got that screen share technology. They can link up with your computer, and then you can just tell them, hey, I'm having this issue right here, and you can see them do it live, right? It's fantastic. So simplewebsite.us is my one true sponsor right now. Support them. They're supporting me. Maybe they won't be after this episode. Who knows? One other thing I want to tell you. I got to keep reminding you until at least to the show it passed. Please go get your tickets right now. Go get them right now. For the show that I'm doing, at least if you're going to be here in the Twin Cities area. I mean, if you're not going to be in the area, probably don't want to buy the tickets. I am performing along with headliner Tom Simmons November 9th and 10th at Sisyphus Brewing Sisyphus Brewing in downtown Minneapolis, November 9th and 10th. Right now, we have just 3 shows scheduled. I think there's there's one show on the 9th. I think it's 8 o'clock. And then there's 2 shows on the 10th, 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock show. And we're gonna both Tom and I are gonna be recording those shows for future CD releases, and it's gonna be a great, fun show. Very small, intimate venue, perfect for CD recording. Some other CDs have been recorded there. But if you don't know Tom Simmons, brilliant comedian, super funny. He's been on Comedy Central, Showtime. White comedian who's been on BET. What? You can't beat that. That's super awesome, right? Then I'm going to be featuring for him. And then also regular podcast listeners, right? Daryl Horner, past guest, a headliner in his own right, is going to be the MC, right? Hell of a package. And I'm not just talking about his dick. Hell of a package as far as the comedy show goes, right? Okay? So it's going to be Daryl Horner open up the show, me featuring, and the headliner, Tom Simmons, who you can never go wrong with. Only $10. Only $10, right? That's a hell of a discount. We wanted to charge just enough just to cover the cost of the recording and cover the cost of Tom travel and getting him out here. So it's a break-even show. Wanted to get you guys out there, get a chance to meet you, talk to you, have some fun with you, and get some material recorded for a CD. It's going to be a good time. Now, how do you get tickets? Here's what you do. You can go directly to the Sisyphus Brewing website, and that is sisyphusbrewing.com, and I'm going to spell that out for you because it's kind of confusing. It's a weird word. It's SISYPHUSBREWING.com. One more time, Sisyphus Brewing is SISYPHUSBREWING.com. Boom. You can go right to the website, find the events. Boom. You'll see a bunch of other cool events they got going on. So you can maybe go to multiple events if you want, right? But ours is November 9th and 10th. You'll see a poster, comedy night. You'll see Tom Simmons' name in bold print. You'll see his picture, my picture, and Daryl Horner's picture on there. That's where you go buy tickets there. But if you're on Facebook, you can find Sisyphus Brewing on their Facebook page. The event's there. I think you can just search it. I've made multiple posts on the Filter Free America Facebook page. There's lots of ways to find it. But if you find any posts about it, you'll find a link and a place to buy the tickets digitally online. And tell you what, I highly suggest you do it. Because not only is Tom not in this area of the country very often, he's from North Carolina, traveling headliner, and so he's going to have people come out to see him because he's not here very often, but it's also a very small venue, okay? And we purposely did that because we wanted a nice, tight, compact show to really kind of, get that laughter all captured in the microphones. We want a nice, tight space, and that's what this place is. I think it only holds about 80 people, so 80 seats per show, right? Get your tickets now. Get them now. Again, quickest, easiest way to go is just go to sisyphusbrewing.com. sisyphusbrewing.com. And if you're not familiar with where Sisyphus Brewing is, it's downtown Minneapolis. We're kind of really close to the Sculpture Garden area. It's 712 Ontario Avenue West, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Boom, 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 boom. It's a great brewery. Make craft brews there, and they also have some fantastic kombucha that I love, love, love. All right, we're almost 20 minutes into the intro, and this is a long episode. Let me hurry up and knock this out. All right, we need a name for this episode, and dude, I'm telling you, if you hang into this episode and you get to that last story, it's the disgusting icing on the disgusting cake. So we got to make that the focus point here. Let me take a quick drink because my mouth is parched. Ice Mountain sparkling water. Delicious. Not a sponsor. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it the most disgusting sex story ever told with Teebie Smalls. That's the name of this episode. The most disgusting sex story ever told with Teebie Smalls right here on Filter Free America. Let's go.
All right. So you got to start by first telling me in the audience, TV, what is your motivation? Why are you this greaser that you are?
Well, that sounds more like a question for Sigmund Freud, but I guess we'll get right into it. You know, ever since I was young, I kind of figured pussy was my style. It was my jam. You know, I got a taste.
Pussy jam sounds delicious, though. I will say.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, spread that on like butter.
Right.
You know, I got a taste for it at a young age. I grew up as a little brother, so I was exposed to, you know, certain types of things. I also grew up in a neighborhood of all girls.
Okay.
You know, and you know, I was young, I was fun, I was charismatic, I was athletic. So, you know, me versus other types of boys out there at those ages, I was able to get along or get away with, you know, other stuff, if you will. You know, I was able to kind of slip and slide, be a little more slithery. Girls wanted to hang out with me. You know, boys wanted to play sports and stuff like that. That's cool. But, you know, as I got older, you know, you kind of, you know, old habits die hard. You're like, hey, you know, I'm going to be going after the pussy. You know, I'll do whatever I can to get it.
And that's what a greaser is, right? Is being pussy motivated.
A notorious puss hound, absolutely.
Notorious puss
hound.
So when, I mean, you don't come out the womb knowing this, right? I mean, you at one point in your life, something had to happen to inspire you to choose this. It's like becoming a monk, but different.
It's like getting a taste for chocolate or candy right away. If you like something, you know, maybe I have more of an addictive personality. Right. If I like something, I think I'm gonna run with it.
Right.
You know, why not? You know, I'm not gonna say that I'm not a sex addict. You know, I'm not out banging prostitutes, although I did have my very first prostitute encounter in Las Vegas last year. I'm not proud of it. I'm actually pretty disgusted by it. But hey, you know, that's part of the deal.
What was that?
That's part of the deal. It was actually my first black girl, too.
Really?
You know, so it's my first hooker, my first black girl. I was going to get it all in one shot. You know, I never had any trouble getting laid, especially since I'm not the guy just going after dime pieces. Let's face it, I'm just an average dude. I'm not tall. I'm not rich. I'm not devilishly handsome. I drive a decent vehicle and I have a decent job, but I haven't always. The reason why I was able to get a lot of pussy back then is because I was such a loser. And that goes along with some other different kind of philosophy out there, you know.
Right.
A good friend of mine says you can't make money and grease at the same time. It just doesn't work. So, you know, and I've had a couple of years of some pretty good success, and, you know, I've had quite a slump. And, you know, as a greasy character, I mean, your failures are just as important as your successes. And I want to say some of my best stories probably have to do with pretty epic failures.
Pretty epic, yeah. Same. I think all of mine have been failures.
Yeah.
But so what was that moment though? Because like, you know, like me, like I remember the first time I had sex, and sex like, oh yeah, great, I want to have more sex. But and I'm sure you had a first sex moment. But when did it become like almost like a religious pursuit to you? Because that's what it kind of feels like, right? When I read your blog and I read your postings and everything, you're very motivated. It's a very real thing. It feels like a religious calling to you.
I wouldn't say that anything super crazy happened in my younger years. I mean, I lost my virginity at 18 to a 16-year-old Catholic schoolgirl.
Okay.
Her and her dad were both pilots. Her dad was a deacon in their church. I didn't grow up Catholic, but she was very, very Catholic. And, you know, to the point where her dad was even like trying to get me to join their congregation. You know, I was just trying to get into his girls' delicates. That's, you know, but, you know, it was very, very normal. I'm your typical all-American middle-class white boy. I grew up in the northwestern suburbs, you know, had house, you know, 2-car garage, literally had a white picket fence out in my front yard. I ain't even going to lie about that. But, you know, and then moving forward, I, you know, grew up, had a good job, had a good girlfriend. She became a slut, broke my heart. I moved out, and I think that's when it started. I was, you know, as a guy with a, you know, I had a chip on my shoulder. It was vengeance.
Oh,
I think
so this is maybe So maybe this came from pain. This is where this came.
Yeah, I mean, without pain, you can't have spiritual growth. And if you want to say this was a religious pursuit,
is this vengeance? Then on the female species is like, since you were hurt, now are you more like a big game hunter now?
I think so. It was a strong suit, and at the time, I was working in a fast-paced retail environment. I was working for Audio King and Ultimate Electronics, at the time in the glory days before the internet,
right?
And making a ton of money. And I worked with some really, really talented guys. But in that type of profession where you don't need, a college education, half the guys that I worked with were high school and college dropouts, drug dealers, musicians, guys that were, they
people
had,
like me.
Yeah, exactly. These guys had criminal backgrounds. These guys, they had, stripper girlfriends. They had great time. So, I was 19, 20, 21 years old, and I was impressionable. I grew up in the suburbs. I was not exposed to the city life. Well, that's where it happened. I was good at what I did. Whoever I was as a child had eventually helped me be successful as an adult. And as I started to emulate these older guys, my brother was kind of a dweeb growing up. He never did anything big. He still hasn't done anything great with his life. But I longed for more of that, and those guys kind of took me under their wing when I sat there and was just like listening to them like this was my religion. They're telling me these great stories about, this girl would have me just come over and I'm using a tiny baseball bat in her asshole. I was just like, fuck yeah, dude. Tell me more. I mean, I only saw.
And we're here in Minnesota, so it had to be like one of those twins giveaway mini bats. So it had
exactly.
To be that.
He probably had the hat that he got the ice cream in. Fuck it. I have no idea. But again, I was 20 years old.
Call me Joe Mauer. Call me Joe.
Oh man, she's like, get your ass over here. Don't take a shower. I want you to stink like yesterday's dog shit.
Oh, wow.
So, and I was like, wow, those types of broads really exist. So, I started hanging out with these older guys in the cities, and, when you're 19, 20 years old wearing a suit to work, and you go to TGI Fridays across the parking lot, everybody's like, yeah, beers. So, it all kind of started to come together. And then around that same time, I moved out of my house, broke up with my girlfriend, and it basically became, hey, I'd only been with 2 girls before. These guys seem to be doing all right not having girlfriends. I just happened to try it. And, next thing you know, it was just party after party, girl after girl.
Okay, so now you've got a new philosophy, a new look at women and sex. Then.
Oh my God, objectification. That,
right?
How did I miss this?
Right.
I grew up with a really good mom that wouldn't let me do that, even though I was crushing on every single girl. I mean, let's face it, my mom didn't know what was going on behind closed doors when I was playing with the girls down the street. I was a sweet little boy.
They must be studying.
Yeah, I mean, I was no rapist, but I mean, if a girl wants to show me the goods, we're both 6 years old, fine. Yeah.
I've got a very funny story like that. Where was the first time a girl ever showed you her vagina?
I was
location and age.
I was probably pretty young. We were at my house, and I remember this particularly. And it's funny, the neighborhood that I grew up in, the street that I was on, all of the original homeowners still live there. I'm 40 years old. I lived there for 23 years and moved out. But almost every single person, built their house originally and still lives there. The kids have all moved out, but like the parents and whatnot are still there. There was one house in particular that was like kitty corner across the street. And as I was younger, there was families rotating out of this. And again, I'm in the burbs. I didn't know anything about, rental houses. I didn't know anything about divorces. I didn't know anything about kids going over to their dad's house for the weekend. What the fuck is that?
Right.
I didn't get it. But the girls, the daughters, the stepdaughters that rotate through these types of houses and family institutions are usually the first one to, pull the shorts to the side and show you what's up. Now, I can't recall if I had requested this or if she showed me on purpose or if it was a 1,
Or if
2,
she was
3,
just
we
a
both go.
kind, generous soul that
Yeah.
just wanted to show you something.
Yeah, and you know, and the funny thing, we had like this wood pile and a couple of cars in the parking lot, and you know, and then again, we were young. I can't even remember. I was probably, you know, old enough, obviously, to talk, old enough for the neighbor girl across the street to come over, and we were able to play unattended.
Right.
I really don't recall any parents being in the background.
Because that would be weird. It's like, oh, look at Sally. She's showing her pussy again.
As I'm thinking
damn,
about
Sally.
this, envisioning it in my head, it was almost like nobody was in the neighborhood. Like, this was the first time. This was like, poof, we're gone out of existence. There's me and this girl. Couldn't tell you anything about her, remember a thing. But, you know, when she flashed that clam to me, I was like, oh, I swear I could hear the hallelujah bells playing in the background.
Well, now, see, you how old do you think you were, you said?
I had to have been probably close to first grade, 6 or 7 years old.
Oh, see, you're
That had to have
younger
been
than. See, I was
super young.
9, 10, or 11 in that range, so a little older. I remember her name. Her name was Nikki Little. It was where I lived back home in Missouri, and we had we had a tree in the backyard. We had built a tree fort in, like a tree house fort. And we were up in the tree fort, and that's where she showed me her pussy. I don't remember who. It's like, I'll show you mine. I'll show you yours type deal. And I like, oh, okay. So we did, and like I remember being like underwhelmed, like underimpressed, like, oh, okay. And then I just wanted to go back to playing. I think that maybe she was trying to. She maybe was more advanced than I was, and I was
possible.
Like, I was more worried about tree houses and GI Joes.
That's definitely a good thing. See, now I grew up in a neighborhood of almost all girls. I mean, my two best friends lived on either side of me. One had an older sister and a younger brother, so she got to hang out with my older brother. But the one on the other side, he was a twin, so he had a twin sister. They were both a year younger than me. They had a sister that was a year older than me, and then another sister that was like 2 years younger than us.
Right.
You know, so I mean, we got, we had the whole legacy growing there, and I do remember that. Ever since then, as I grew up and I started hanging out with girls, you know, I mean, this is a neighborhood. We're all pretty close. We all grew up together. So, like, y'all got babysat together. You always took off and went into town to Dairy Queen. All the kids in the neighborhood piled into the car. Like, we were always hanging out. We always went to church together. We went to school together. We rode the bus together. We swam together. Probably took baths together. I'm pretty sure I've been naked with every girl in my neighborhood some way, shape, or form, somehow when we were younger.
Did you ever fuck a girl at church?
No, I don't think so. I think by the time that I was actually going to church is when I was still... That was one of those places that was a little bit harder to get away with. So, like, the people that in my church that were screwing around were a little bit older. Actually, that's a whole different story there. The church that I belonged to, the pastor was doing marriage counseling, was having multiple affairs with multiple married women.
That's how you counsel married women, right?
Damn, you know, that's how I just...
You counsel
I justified it.
with dick, right?
I justified it. You know, I'm in seventh grade, and I learned what emotional dependency meant.
Right.
Because they were trying to prove if these women were emotionally dependent, and that's when he took advantage of them.
Right.
It was the whole, like, do you know what you're doing or not type of thing.
Maybe they're dick dependent. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, you know, you got some dud husband at home that ain't paying attention to his lady. I mean, if you people can take anything away at all, you gotta pay attention to your spouse, yo, or they will go elsewhere. I don't fucking care who you are.
You got to be creative with dick throwing.
The broad that I'm hanging out with right now, 7 or 8 years. Dude, this is the longest relationship I've ever been in, Joey.
Right.
And she's been married for 15 years. Still is, happily. He's actually gotten to the point where he's kind of accepted the fact that
He knows?
we still see each other.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's...
Are you doing him a favor? Is that...
Well, you know,
Maybe
I supply his wife with everything that she needs in order to be happy. She suffers from depression and anxiety, and, you know, she's a social outcast and introvert and antisocial, but extremely talented in some ways, very crazy. Loves to suck dick, a lot of eye contact.
God bless
I mean,
her.
I'm telling you, dude, like, it's just... you can see all the way into the soul, man. All that shame, all that fear, all that regret, all that love and passion.
She's just looking for acceptance the whole time. Just looking for acceptance.
Oh, that's it. That's it, man. These broads are addicted to attention. Doesn't matter where it comes from.
Holy shit, man.
So, I'm a listener. Dude, I've been a salesman my whole life. I've been a manipulator ever since I was a kid. My mom would put me on the timeout for being mouthy, and I'd make her feel so goddamn guilty for it that she'd be like, all right, let's just get back at it, Again, I was slithery, slick with the tongue,
Right.
Manipulative.
Okay, so that kind of describes your origin then. We know where this came from. Let me think here. I'm looking at this list of stories and list of topics and such, and I think I want to start with you gave me first a list of topics that you could speak on and either give your point of view or philosophies or whatever. So I'm just going to start kind of going through these. Let's start with a winner right here. Let's start with butt sex. What is your point of view on butt sex? And
I'm actually wearing the T-shirt right now. It says "Butt Sex: The Pro-Life Choice."
It is. Oh yeah, there you go.
It is. Even though I have voted Republican this year,
that should have been printed in brown.
This was
black, but
this was written when a liberal was in office, and but. If I am liberal on anything, I'm very pro-abortion. Now, I'm not pro-government spending on abortion clinics. Okay. I think abortion should be completely, legalized and whatnot, and, available for everybody. But, we don't have to be spending taxpayer money on it. It's a private business just like anything else. Like, hey, I got knocked up and I've decided to have to, terminate my pregnancy. I'll go to this place. The one thing that's not available right now is financing. I think we have a population problem because A, girls are prudes about butt sex, and B, abortions are expensive. They're $500 to $800. The majority of people that are getting
that's way cheaper than a kid, though.
Yeah, but
kid's $250,000 investment, man.
Yes, sir. And the majority of people that are getting knocked up that are considering abortions, they're not just normal everyday 9 to 5 Monday through Friday parents that have their shit together.
Right.
These are people that are going out, and I was sitting in that abortion clinic. I was hearing people talk. There's girls that have had 3, 4, 5 of them, it's birth control to them.
Holy cow. That's not unheard of. I actually know somebody had multiple abortions as well.
But, I can't say that it's 100%, butt sex isn't 100% tried and true, but it's pretty goddamn close. There is something called a splash conception that Adam Glasser, Seymour Buns, was talking about in his book, Rock Her World. And it has to do with, wetness dripping down from cavity A to cavity B.
Oh, gravity.
The other way. Yeah. And it's liquid, so a sperm can stay alive for several hours or a day or something.
It might smell a little poopy.
Yep.
But it's still going to do.
It'll slither if the cum shot drips out of the ass and down the taint and happens to make its way up there. I mean, this could be a made-up thing, to cover up.
I think that's how presidents
cheating.
are made. I'm pretty sure that's how every president that was ever conceived.
Splash conception?
Was splash conception via anal sex.
Wouldn't that be like the ultimate campaign type of spiel? Dude, the first president ever conceived from a splash conception.
Right.
It's not about race. It's not about gender. It's not about where he's from.
It's
this
how
guy
you
was born
accidentally
right
make
here in
the
the
kid.
U.S.
It's how you accidentally make the kid. It's how you do it.
Mom and dad were way into anal, and it
would make sense.
It's
politicians are full of shit, so why wouldn't they be a baby that's conceived from?
It's definitely one of those taboo things, and obviously we've.
Is it anymore? Is anal sex? Hold on now, because it's not. I understand. And when I started my sex career, hold on, drop my pen. It was taboo, but now that's like first date territory now for the most part.
One thing that I took away from Adam Glasser, I think the actual heading of the chapter is "Ass play isn't gay."
Right.
So, gentlemen, don't be afraid to take a finger or two in the ass. And here's my advice: you got to give up your queen if you want to win the game, because those girls will hold on to that ass cherry for a long time, even if they've let even if they've done it before. It's one of those, oh, I want to wait till I get married or blah, blah, whatever fucking lame-ass excuse it's for. But sometimes those girls are just willing to
The new
wait.
generation is...
They'll hold out for something. You know, a girl, they're like, oh, I'll hold out for something just a little bit better. And be like, hey, you know what? I'll let you stick your finger in my ass if you let me, you know, return the favor.
I want to think the Kardashian family changed everything. I think that they're like probably the first popular people to do anal on the regular.
I heard Nikki Glasser, the female comedian. She's on that.
Glazer?
Glazer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she enjoys anal sex. She's all about it.
I would enjoy it with her.
Yeah,
I would not mind. How? I was going to ask you about the. What was your first anal sex experience?
So almost every girl that I've ever been with, it's either been implied or tried or just gone for, or at least discussed.
Right.
You know, or some, you know, a lot of times, I mean, changing lanes without signaling is kind of like that asking for forgiveness instead of asking for permission type of thing.
Right.
And I think that's usually the best approach. You know, you never know. But,
I thought you were into that. Sorry.
yeah, you know, it's 2018, girl.
Right.
Got to be aware of.
Clearly, I'm not the first one that's been here. I mean,
it's 18. You got to be aware of those ones that are only into butt sex and blowjobs. You could have yourself a ladyboy there. Beware.
Sure.
But
or celebrate if you're into that. Either way.
You know, I want to say, yeah, this had to have been. I think this was like the first like full on like, you know, greasy one night stand. I'm living at this house in Champlin. I just got home from my job at Majors, and my roommates happened to be having a party at the house, and my one roommate owed me a bunch of money for some weed, and you know, so I get home and
he traded you his girlfriend's ass for that weed money.
You know, if you want to put it black and white, it was kind of like that.
Holy shit! Did I nail it? Holy shit!
So I come home. It's like 3 a.m. This girl, and she's right up my alley. I mean, this girl is like 90 pounds. Looks like
up
she's
your alley,
missing,
euphemism, or
looking like she's missing a couple of teeth. You know, she's wasted. She can hardly keep her eyes open. She's just left unattended. Like all of a sudden, there was a raging party going on, and then poof, everybody's gone. I get home, this broad's just standing at the top of the steps. So I go upstairs, you know, like what any good Christian boy would do, and sit down and, you know, offer her a cocktail and you know, there really wasn't much interaction. I want to say within a good half hour or so, we were downstairs in my room just banging it out. This girl was so wasted. She was so white trash. I didn't even get a good look. I'd been drinking at work all night. I was surprised that I made it home. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Well, I happened to find out that she came home with my buddy Logan, but he obviously got drunk and passed out. And he's like, yeah, fuck this broad, you know. She obviously was no... You know, she wasn't even a 6. This girl was way down. But, you know, being that she was super skinny, you know, 5 foot, less than 100 pounds, that's just, you know, the best part about crack whores is the crack, you know.
Right.
And she, I think I just went for it. And she just basically said, yeah, go ahead. I love it. And I'm like, it could have been something else that she said, but I went for it and that was it. You know, I mean, but it was weird. I wound up banging her like 3 times,
right.
You know, and like the third time she gushed everywhere. I mean, this was just an absolute, it must have been cum. It must have been piss. There was just liquid that,
I thought she gushed out of her ass.
Yeah, Nope, I don't think that was just kind of part 1. That was kind of short lived, but you know, she definitely took it all in strides, you know. But and then you know, we took a little break, and then the second time around, I think she had, you know, just the juices were already, you know, peaked, and I must have just hit it one more time, and she just exploded. I mean, I can literally almost remember seeing a puddle come out of her. I mean, I could be imagining this, but I'm pretty sure, you know, I could feel like the splash on my legs.
Right.
And this girl had already had kids already, from what I understood, from what my buddy had told me. Like, the kids weren't involved. One of those situations where she wasn't really allowed to be around them.
Whoa.
You know, bad mom, you know, drug problems and so forth.
The fact that she's always having anal sex, which is random dudes, might be part of it too.
I might not have even been the first one that night. I mean,
I was going to say that night. Yeah, it might have been that.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
She might have been taking dicks quarterly on the hour.
I can't remember how she got home. It was in the wintertime. But yeah, that was, you know, I mean, butt sex isn't something that comes around very often, you know. It's a nice little treat for some people.
Right.
But I do recall going up to Duluth once upon a time with, actually with the, you know, I have one buddy that kind of recurringly shows up in my stories because, you know, him and I spent 15 years just greasing together. And we went up to Duluth.
The goose to your Maverick.
I got super wasted. This was at Grandma's Sports Garden. And did a couple of shots at the bar. Threw up all over the bar, like instantly. Blah, vomited. And, but nobody saw it. For some reason, I just threw up and I just kind of pushed my arm across the bar and shoved everything into the garbage can and ordered another drink to wash it down. I go back down to the dance floor. I see this girl. She sees me. Whatever. We're both wasted. She comes over and starts talking to me. We start dancing a little bit. Next thing you know, we're like making out and fucking like, you know, we're pushing mons. You know, we're dry humping out there.
Pushing what?
Pushing mons.
What the fuck is that?
The mons pubis. That's the the upper pussy area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, this is a learning podcast. You learn shit on this show.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, this is a public service announcement from Teebie Smalls.
Bring the kids around.
And so, and I'm going, what the fuck, dude? I just vomited tequila all over the bar, and I'm making out with this broad. I mean, I don't know, maybe she threw up at the bar too, down this, you know, down the other side. I have no idea. But we wound up hooking up later on that night. My buddy let me use her car. We went up to Skyline Drive, made out, did some dry humping. Turned out just being a hand job, but I did get to finger her ass.
Oh.
You know, I was just doing a lot of the hand stuff and stuff. So I was just like, well, I just went in there and I got as many fingers into as many places as I could. And she seemed to be really receptive of it. So that actually sparked a pretty good 3-month stint where I was driving from like the Twin Cities metro area to this small town outside of Superior, Wisconsin. She was a stripper too, by the way.
How many miles is a drive?
About 320 miles.
Holy shit. You broke my record.
300. How far is it to Duluth plus like another 40 minutes? So like, maybe not 300, but I mean, it was there. It was a good 3 hours at least,
right.
Maybe 3 hours instead of 300
shit.
miles. But yeah, it was definitely a 3 hour, you know, drive to kind of get up there.
My limit still, it always is an hour. I'm never going to drive more than an hour for some pussy.
Well, after we had our night, I went back to my hotel room, got a hold of her the next day. We went out for breakfast. I realized she was not as attractive as I thought, but you know, she was decent enough. You know, at this point, this is what Teebie Smalls is all about. Like, hey, the business is already there. I think this is going to go a little bit further. Why the hell not? We're here. But, you know, we start chit-chatting, and I think she had asked me about me knocking on the back door. And then she had hinted that she liked it. I was like, oh. So, you know, and this is when, like, camera phones were first just kind of getting up and going. So I was at least able to jerk off in my hand and send her a picture of a nice cum shot in the hand, and she's like, "Ooh, that's turning me on," type of stuff.
Do you keep a cum shot ready in your phone now, or are you an artist where you always make a fresh one?
Yeah,
for each
I like
person?
A clean palette because it's not always in the same spot.
Gotcha.
And but you know, again, as an addict, I find the one thing that I'm definitely looking for. This is like the holy grail of relationships. This girl that just wants to suck my dick and get fucked in the ass.
Right.
I did confirm that she was a woman right away because I know, you know, not that I've ever been duped, but I've seen it on HBO. And, but, you know, I was spending, you know, a whole, and this is wintertime. This is like, I met her in December because we were up there over Christmas. So like December, January, February, almost into March.
Right.
driving into damn near Canada just to fuck a stripper in the ass.
Right.
So I went.
Well, Duluth in the wintertime, it's fucking cold, right? Well,
yeah.
Anal sex probably heats you up.
And I didn't have a 4x4
friction in your
at the time.
asshole that probably warms up the body, the core temperature. That was probably more for her for survival than really sexual pleasure. I don't want to crush your dreams or anything.
I would want to think so.
Was.
I would hope that I was doing something for this.
You're like the Red Cross of dick.
Because it sounds like she had just gotten dumped by some guy too. I didn't pay attention a lot to the details, just enough to know that she had kids. And for some reason, I'm not racist, but I had gotten the idea that the guy that she was with was a black dude.
Okay.
Just kind of by who she was and what she looked like. I mean, she was a white girl, but kind of her attitude and accent, not in a bad way. Just like, I think she was into black dudes. Like, what am I doing here?
Right.
But she was the best. She let me bury my load in her ass every time. And the biggest turn on was the cum fart in the bathroom. Because you'd get your thing, and usually girls have to get up and go to the bathroom anyway. So you're like, oh, yeah, that's normal. I'll just kind of roll over and clean myself up, and she'll run over into the bathroom. Well, this particular Holiday Inn at, downtown Duluth, it wasn't very big, but the bathroom was all done in
Is there
tile.
only one Holiday Inn in downtown Duluth?
I think there's just like one big main Holiday in there, and then there's like a couple of other branches of them, but I think this was the big main Holiday in downtown.
So anybody who works at the main Holiday Inn downtown Duluth, if you would like to sponsor the Filter Free America podcast and sponsor a great program like the one you're hearing right now, please contact me at filterfreeamerica@gmail.com, and we'll get your name on an episode just like the one you're listening to right now. Continue.
Nice plug.
There you go.
And so as you're just you're sitting in there, and I don't try to tune into what's going on in the bathroom. I already know what's going on there. But then when you hear the cum fart, you can tell that it was wet, but there wasn't really much behind it other than just the small load. Like, she didn't have to shit, but she was just what do you call it? Evacuating.
Right. Purging the system.
Yeah. So she came back all nice and cleaned up, and we went to bed, and, it was a nice story. But about 2 weeks later, we had a similar type of rendezvous. I drove all the way up in the wintertime, went and sat at her strip club, which was basically like, if anybody's ever been to Fat Jack's in Bach, it's basically just a big, or maybe kind of like Sugar Daddy's up there by St. Paul.
I've been to Sugar Daddy's.
Yeah, it's just a big pole shed and, stage and stuff.
Can I tell you my crazy Sugar Daddy story?
Please.
I went to do a show. Where were we performing at? Somewhere along there past Sugar Daddy's. It was me, comedian Mike Lester. Who was the other comic? There was a third comic. God damn it. Can't remember who it was. I'm sorry. You definitely added to the adventure, whoever you were. But anyway, we go to Sugar Daddy's. Mike Lester had never, Mike Lester, right? Mm-hmm. Skinny Mike Lester.
Yep.
Never been to a strip club. I think he was 20 now at this time. But we wanted to have fun with it. So we said, Mike, we're going to take you in here, but we want you to act like you have a mental, disability.
Oh, for sure.
So he went in like an over-exaggerated, mentally handicapped guy. So we just told him, we walked in, okay, he's got a mental handicap. So we just want to bring him in. Is that okay? Yeah, it's fine. Sit him up there. And all the strippers
His idea is valid.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Yeah, and then like the strippers would come, and they were just still gross strippering, trying to get money off of him. And they believed that he was a mentally handicapped young man. Mm-hmm. And it was the worst thing that we've ever done, ever. But it was also hilarious at the same time, too. They totally believed that he was handicapped. But that was at Sugar Daddy's.
Man.
Sugar Daddies, if you'd like to sponsor an episode of the Filter Free America podcast, you can also email me. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the next time I went up there, we met up with a couple of her other stripper friends.
Oh, stripper gang. Sweet.
And, again, this was no Las Vegas type of scene. This was definitely like really low grade $12 strippers is what I call them. These girls make about, on the average, $12 an hour part-time.
I always use Augies as my baseline. Above or below Augies?
Oh, this was... It was bigger than Augie's,
Right.
you know, but like Augie's has that certain type of dank. I got a great story from an Augie stripper too.
Okay, well, let's
it was
talk about
another
that one.
cum fart type of thing. This was
nice.
over at her.
August is my favorite.
This is the one white girl, pasty, redheaded white girl.
Oh my God,
Tall, skinny.
I've probably seen her there before. That sounds familiar.
She was stripping there while they were filming their 99 Problems.
Oh, I've seen her then because I remember there used to be an 18 up hip hop and club above there called the Sky Club in that same building upstairs.
Oh, you know, I don't know if I ever actually went in there, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like there's Augie's right here. Then on the corner was the Egyptian-owned smoke shop.
Yeah.
And then upstairs was the 18 Up nightclub owned by the Egyptians, and they played hip hop and R&B music,
Okay.
no alcohol, whatever. I used to DJ up there.
That used to be part of like the old. That would have probably been
used to
part
be
of
the
like old
arcade.
graffitis and stuff. Was that when graffitis was still there before it turned into like?
Yeah, it was like
Sneaky
it was
Pete's
an
and
arcade and all that.
Yeah.
and then it turned into that nightclub.
They never let us up there in 16 plus night.
Yeah, it was wild. But
Yeah, so we were hanging out with the other strippers, but so instead of going and getting a hotel room, she's like, "Oh, we're just gonna go and stay at my girlfriend's house tonight." Oh, okay, that sounds fun. So if anybody is from the Duluth area, we actually made our way over to Hermantown, which is basically a giant trailer park. It's up at the top of the hill, past the mall. And if you're going to Hermantown, you're probably going to be staying in a prefabricated modular home.
really, it's all trails. I've heard of it. I didn't know it was all mobile homes.
Well, what's hilarious is that it was either like 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after I was up there in Duluth with my same buddy on a different type of excursion. And I met another girl and went back to her place, and I wound up in that same trailer park like 3 houses down. I'm like, what the fuck? Why do I keep winding up here? But, you know, I guess that's the Duluth trailer park. But this is an old school type of tornado bait trailer, you know, super thin walls. We show up there, the place looks like it just got hit by a tornado. This broad has kids too, and a roommate, I guess. You know, this is like a 3-bedroom trailer, you know, super swanky. But the walls and everything were paper thin. And the kicker is that the bed that we slept on had rubber sheets on there because the kid was a bedwetter.
Oh, I was going to say she was. I was going to say this story just got hot.
Fuck. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we definitely took advantage of those rubber sheets. I mean, you know, if they weren't on their way out to the trash soon, they probably should have been after we left. But yeah, we, you know, we were super drunk, got home, you know, went to bed, fucked, you know, good old butt sex, came in the ass. She did not go to the bathroom that time. We passed out, woke up in the morning, started fooling around, went right for the butt. Didn't even bother putting it in her pussy, just went right for the butt. She was okay with it. Just banked, she just opened up and let me go. I just buried the load again. So there was, you know, load number 1 from the night before, still festering in there on top of load number 2, you know.
And you're raw dogging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course you're.
Yeah, just some random that I threw up in her mouth. But yeah, I'll fucking bang her without a rubber. And, you know, so the bathroom was right next to the room. I mean, literally, it sounded like we were staying in tents. You know, we just went in there, and this was probably one of the biggest cum farts ever because it was, you know, doubled up, and, you know, she probably did have a little extra in there pushing back, but, you know, it's like, it's music to your ears almost. It's like a job well done, you know, and you really just hear that one go.
It's like when you go to like a really nice, well, not a nice restaurant, but like a decent sized restaurant, and they have a little bell that you ring for good service at the end as you walk out the door.
Home
Depot
Depot
like
has
that.
one of those.
Yeah, you know you did good because she gave you the cum fart after that. So,
Yeah, it's the ultimate. You know, it's the ultimate compliment. Yeah, so you know the rubber sheets and you know just the burying the loads in the ass, and she's just totally fine with it.
Right.
I mean, and I want to say, I mean, I think our relationship probably came to an end shortly after that, because I mean, even for a greasy character like myself, I don't think I could handle it. And you know what where if I can't say that I've ever really been grossed out during sex, because let's face it, during sex you're having sex, like I really don't think there's anything gross about it. I've been involved in just about everything you could have.
It's never happened to me, but I do fear it. But I haven't had the sheer number of anal sex encounters as you have either. But what if a chick shits on you?
Well, that's kind of what I was building towards, because
shit.
There's always going to be something floating around in there.
Right.
I mean, if you know girls that are actually really,
it's a machine that never shuts down. It's constantly processing. So.
If you know women or guys, gay guys too, if you're into anal sex, there's a definite preparation that they go through. I've had female friends that have had nasty female roommates. Like, oh my God, my roommate's going over to her boyfriend's house in like 2 days, but she's fasting right now. She's making sure that the pipes are clean because she knows that they're going to be.
That's serious? That's how they're going to do it?
Absolutely. Just to make sure. The whole thing is the whole reason why.
No wonder gay dudes are always in shape. They're never eating. They're always fucking starving themselves, getting ready to get fucking nailed in the ass.
Yeah. There's definitely, you're on a cleanse, stuff's always pushing through. It can be an embarrassing type of faux pas. Girls are going to be kind of about just about anything, but
right.
Those ones that are really that are ready to step up and don't care, you have to accept that there's gonna be a foul odor in there. It smells like sweaty shit.
Yeah.
If anybody has ever shit their pants out there before and you've had to deal with it afterwards, maybe in the backseat of a car, maybe in a bathroom of a fancy restaurant, how many people out there have had to throw their dirty drawers away in an unsuspecting trash can?
I can't believe
this guy.
Technology hasn't caught up to that yet. Now, as many people are having anal sex, and that's like an open market. Like Febreze should make something, like a little cartridge that you shove up your asshole,
like an oust.
Yeah, something like that just goes off every 30 seconds. It just shoots a little freshness in your asshole.
I want to say it
Febreze,
was.
you can steal that idea.
I think one of the original inventions of Benjamin Franklin was a gum or a candy that you could eat that made your farts smell good.
Really?
Pretty sure you can look that shit up on Google. I seem to have some kind of weird memory of stuff.
I'm just going to believe it because I like the idea of that. I'm just going to tell it till somebody corrects me.
It was either Benjamin Franklin. I'm pretty sure because it was.
Well, he was a
history
freak too, so.
Yeah, dude, he was a
weird
freak. Shit.
Yeah, so,
absolutely.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Brilliant minds. You gotta be versed in just about everything.
Any other big points on butt sex before we move to another topic? We got a lot to cover.
Well, you got to get in there,
right?
Fair
enough.
So that's where you got to be able to strike a deal. You got to be a salesman. You got to be, a smooth talker. You're not always, even a girl that's into butt sex, she's going to hold on to that ace in the hole as long as she can, unless it's just an absolute freak that says, come over here, don't shower, bring your little baseball bat, but for the most part, it's just like anything else. Somebody who walks into a car dealership, maybe they're not ready to buy, but the right salesman can definitely get you to pull the trigger.
Right.
And sometimes that takes a certain type of character to be able to do that. You also have to want it, if you're just focused on getting pussy, you're just going to get the pussy. But if you're all about that full meal deal, butt sex, blowjobs, they're all accessories.
Who I figure what dudes have the most anal sex besides gay dudes? Mormon dudes. You know why? More wives, more opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? Every night they can ask 6 or 7 of their wives. One of them may say yes. 1 in 6, 1 in 7.
Yeah, well, maybe you have that entire harem that stretches from the innocent girl with the sundress and the pigtails to the one with the ball gag, whips and chains, and the hooks in her back.
That would be very nice. Let's see. Oh, let's do this one because you mentioned this, and one of them I get, but the other one, that sounds like that could be some nasty stories. Bathroom hookups, backseat hookups. I've banged plenty of chicks in backseats of vehicles. I've never banged in a bathroom though.
Oh man, this is like the poor man's hookup,
right?
Or sometimes it's just business, but I'm an opportunist. So when an opportunity presents itself, again, are you gonna say no? Probably not. You know, and one of my best bathroom hookup stories. Well, I've got two really good ones in particular, and
Okay.
one of them cost me my job at a really fancy restaurant downtown, and but one of them, this was Joe and Stan's bar downtown St. Paul. The year that they switched to a 2 a.m. Liquor or 2 a.m. shutdown for bars.
Yeah.
The bar that I worked at down the street only had a 1 a.m. license. So we'd shut down. We'd go down to Joe and Stan's down the street. That's where everybody went because there was only like 4 or 5 bars downtown that had the 2 a.m. license. So everybody would pile in over there, hit it for last call. And so there was this girl. She was a regular at the bar that I was working at. You know, and she'd slept with just about everybody. She was your typical barfly. I was the bar back, you know, I was younger, I was a new guy in town, you know, one that nobody's run through yet. So I mean, when you got a grip of skanky girls, they're gonna be pouncing on the new guy, just like any group of new guys is gonna be pouncing on the new girl that shows up.
Till they get used up and then
I
it's gross.
fortunately have been able to play that role more than once. And fuck yeah, am I going to take advantage of it. You know, give me that string. I'm going to pull that shit all the way. Tampon string or otherwise.
Right.
And so we go to the bar. We get just instantly wrecked. And we're all over each other. You know, we're having fun. I knew she lived right down the street. I lived right down the street. And she drags me into the bathroom. And this is the funny thing. I don't care what you say. Maybe
hold on
it's
a minute,
just me.
because this, she dragged like it was. Was there any conversation before? Because if not, we might have just. Oh, okay,
you know,
so there's something. Okay, I thought we had like a reverse Me Too movement here. We had to point out. Okay,
honestly, dude, I don't even think I knew her name. She didn't know my name really. I've been serving her for a year, but
right.
you know, it wasn't about pleasantries.
Right.
It was about just pee and vagina. And she was drunk, like barely spoke English at this point. And she brings me into the bath. I'd never been in this bar before. I'm this kid from the suburbs, you know, and I'm new into St. Paul. And she's like, oh yeah, like just totally took advantage of me. And so she drags me to the bathroom. This bar's, I mean, it's a small bar, but it is packed.
Right.
And so she brings me into the stall. I'm like, all right, cool. Got her turned around. I got her hands up against the wall. Her legs are spread, standing over the toilet, you know, total like a cop pat down. And I got my pants down around my ankles. I'm about to stick it in. And or maybe I even had just gotten in. All of a sudden, 2 huge black hands on my shoulders. Whoop. I get picked up and drug out of the bathroom, drug across the dance floor, pants around my ankles, hard on flapping in the wind. This girl has no idea what's going on. I have no clue what's going on. Next thing you know, tossed out into the street. Practically got rug burn on my dick. You know.
They didn't say anything? It was just...
You're out of here. Can't do that. And I was almost there. Somebody must have turned us in. You know,
I was hating. That's what that was.
Haters. But so I'm sitting out there. She didn't get kicked out, of course. And so I went out and got my car. I'm smashed. I drive around. I pull up to the front, and I'm like, well, I can either just go home and, you know, accept my loss and move on, or I was like, the place is going to be shutting down in like 2 minutes. Right. I can just wait out front.
There's 2 minutes left and they still threw you out?
Fuck yeah. I mean, they'll be shutting down. I mean, it was already at last call. I mean, I got there at 1:45 and last call is at 2. So, I mean, this didn't take very long to unfold from a night of me working to, hey, let's all go over here. Hey, I know you. Let's make out. Oh, let's go hook up in the bathroom. I didn't even realize I was in the bathroom until I realized that I was out on the sidewalk. My pants are on my ankles. So I see her come out, her and her roommate. I pick them up, go back to her house. We have one drink. She's like, okay, let's finish this. So I'm like, oh, cool, bed. Roommate goes into her room, and this was like a studio apartment, you know, above a house. So like the bedroom and the kitchen and the living room were all kind of one room. And so we get over to the bed. get her pants down around her ankles and her shirt pulled up over her head. And at this point, her face is covered, so her arms are up like this.
Right.
But her shirt like up above her tits, but it's just her face that's covered and her hands are like, it would almost look like she was kind of tied up, but not really. And the pants around the ankles, so I had torso basically to work with. And again, this broad was not attractive, but good looking enough, or in shape enough to for a greasy fella like me to just be like, what the hell, here it is. And so here we are, we're going at it. I'm fucking her, and she passes out. And I'm like, well, I'm almost done. So I finish, I bury the load, and I bailed. I left her laying there on the bed, pants around her ankles, so I'm like, oh, sweet. So, and I just took off. I never heard from her again, and that was probably one of my first really good bathroom hookup stories.
Right.
But, there wasn't a whole lot that actually went on in the bathroom, and that's the unfortunate part. It had to take place round 2, but but that's kind of how that one went down. That was kind of like a near miss that kept me. It's kind of like when a slot machine pays out $1 after you've put $10 in. You're like, it's gonna pay out again. I know it is. Just keep giving you, spoon feeding you back into it. So I wasn't ready to give up on the bathroom hookups. About 3 months later, I get offered a job downtown Minneapolis. My very first downtown Minneapolis job, big fancy restaurant, steakhouse. It's I think it's called Hell's Kitchen now.
Okay.
But it was in that location. Rossi's was the name of the spot, if anybody remembers that swanky place. And I was a new bar back, and it was the same type of situation. We didn't have a 2 a.m. close, but the neighboring bars did. So we'd shut down at 1 o'clock or earlier, and we'd go over to the bar next door. A couple of these gals are teaching me about wine. Sit down. Oh, here, she wants to talk about wine. We pour a couple of glasses. I start slamming this wine. I have no idea. I was like, oh, this is good.
Right.
Like, you just chug like a $40 glass of wine. I'm like, cool, keep them coming. I don't really recall a whole lot of the details of this, but earlier that night when the club got shut down, there were 2 girls sitting at the corner of the bar that we hadn't kicked out yet. And one was kind of there was an Asian girl and a white girl. And the Asian girl was kind of passing out at the bar, but, we let her stay, whatever. And her friend was coming back. So they eventually left, went to the bar next door. Then me and the rest of the group left and went to the bar next door. We start chugging glasses. And the one girl is talking to me. We're drunk, we're wasted. And this is like my second or third night working at the bar. Just started, don't know anybody. A couple of people were just nice enough to invite me over to the bar next door to, kind of introduce me to a few more people. And I get inebriated. This girl's already beyond drunk. And we start kissing, we start making out. Her friend got up and left, went somewhere else, and I'm just sitting there next to this girl. And within a few minutes, again, this is all taking place within the last hour of bar close.
Right.
And she's...
When you say just start making it, is there conversation? Is there
a little bit? But these last two situations,
do you want to kiss? Yeah, sure, why not?
It was strange because I was working and these girls were at the bar.
Yeah.
So they were watching me work and I was interacting with them. So there was still something going on.
What's the in between that and then making out?
That kind of goes back to that.
It's one thing if you go to a club with somebody or a bar with somebody, you start making out there. But it's one thing to be an employee and then all of a sudden you're...
Yeah, these were a couple of random girls that just came into the bar every once in a while, and how I even got separated from my group, and then this was like a Wednesday night, so it wasn't like a super busy night, but however the story unfolded, it's a bit foggy, but we're making out, and then we both get up to go to the bathroom. I'm going to turn into the men's room. She's going to turn into the ladies' room. She grabs me, drags me into the ladies' room. I mean, this is almost always the girl's idea.
Right.
Because if a girl drags you into the ladies' room, they're almost feeling like they're safe. I don't know. They seem like they're making the better decision to bring me in there. Because if we went into the guys' room, something's going to happen. Somebody's going to say something. It's just for
they're
some
on their
reason,
turf, so they got a little bit of a little bit of power.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really, really think so.
Because at any minute they can just yell, "There's a guy in the bathroom!" So they got that buffer right there.
Now that I think about it, I can't recall of any specific men's room that I've hooked up in. It's either been in a ladies' room or like a unisex type of situation, like a one-holer.
Right.
But
if I was going to bang in a bathroom, I'd rather it be a girl's bathroom. It seems like it'd be just less piss everywhere.
She drags me in.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've ever been in a ladies' bathroom, I mean, it's heavenly. They have like fountains and bath salts and leather couches and fucking shoe shines and you name it, dude.
Nice.
It's beautiful in there. It's nice and fresh and clean. So we're in, and it's not a busy night, so there's nobody in the bathroom, and we're making out. We're damn near fucking, and I want to say somebody must have come in, but we were gone a long time. We were gone in this bathroom, fucking around for a while. And we come back out, and people are kind of looking at us like, "Ooh, what were you guys doing?" And I think somebody had mentioned that I was in there, but it wasn't really a big deal. We were all regulars. Nobody said anything. Well, after a few more drinks, same thing, went back to the bathroom. Maybe I was getting kicked out. At this point, I can't remember the details, but I was heading towards the door, or I was going to the bathroom again. She came into the men's room. Now we're really getting it on. I mean, now we're in the stall. I mean, it's straight up fucking, it's looking like a scene out of, I can't even think of something right. But I mean, it was just hardcore, like, shit getting broken and doors getting slammed. I mean, just, like Tasmanian devil whipping through the bathroom. This was Zalo's downtown, which is really, really nice, like fancy Italian restaurant.
Okay.
And next thing you know, so then we wind up hooking up in the bathroom. We're on the floor. We're fucking. And
on the bathroom floor?
On the bathroom floor. A downtown bar. And the one bartender that I worked with came in and said something like, "Hey, you guys better get out of here. They're getting mad." We're like, "Oh, okay." We start to kind of get up and put our stuff back together. And then just instantly went right back at it. Another few minutes later, then finally one other bartender came and grabbed me and got me out of there.
Right.
I eventually go home. I come back to work the next day. And everybody is just, and I step in for pre-shift, and everybody is just shaking their head. They're just like, "Dude," and I'm going, "What?" I have no fucking clue. Complete blackout. Luckily I didn't live very far from home, but I had no clue. I had almost thought that I had dreamt it.
Right.
It was still so foggy, and this was like 4:00 the next day. I walk into pre-shift, and I literally had to talk to half the staff to find out what had happened.
Were they just laughing? Were they upset? What was the attitude towards it?
No.
Was it like, how the fuck? Or what?
They were really kind of dumbfounded, like, how could a guy do this on his third day? Not, hey, I understand. Just like, the guy just fucking started.
I think you're technically the president of the company now. I think that's how that works.
Oh, and it was funny, and a dear mutual friend of ours was the one that actually got me the job there.
Shit.
He celebrated his birthday there earlier that year, and I was looking for a gig downtown, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll set you up, sure, no problem." And the funny thing is that the management of that place didn't have a problem with it. They actually didn't fucking care. The people that ran that place were alcoholics and drug heads. So I mean, I was slinging dope through there and fucking stealing glasses, and I've got a nice bottle of Dom Perignon.
Fucking women on the bathroom floor was the least of the problems.
Yeah.
That was the least of the problems.
When you're only getting paid $6.50 an hour, bro,
no shit.
It's a cost of living type of thing. I can't afford to just go out and meet a nice girl. I can't afford hookers, but if some, skank downtown wants to hook up in the bathroom, I'm not going to say no.
No.
I mean, it's not a felony. the worst, it's a misdemeanor, indecent exposure. If they kick you out and you don't leave, it could be trespassing. I mean, these are very, very minor, victimless, offenses. So it's one of those things that if you just, it's a matter of opportunity. And, there's a level of, there's a order of operation. You have to, sometimes it's nice to go into a bar and check out the bathroom just to make sure that it's going to be a safe place. Hey, I can pull something off here. Usually the one-holer with the door that closes behind you is the way to go.
I'm trying to think of the nastiest bathroom downtown. You ever been in the Terminal Bar?
Probably.
So I think it's off Hennepin there.
Yeah.
Farther down. That thing,
it's not a place that I would frequent, but I'm sure I've been to it.
It just there's thickness of urine just in the air.
The bathrooms in the downtown bus station are pretty dank.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of some of the.
Is there a bathroom you wouldn't fuck in?
I'd have a hard time with a gas station bathroom, downtown, like Bobby and Steve's or the Beehive.
See, as a professional driver, what I do during the day, I've been keeping kind of a running in my head review of bathrooms, gas station bathrooms, not for sex, but it crosses over in the conversation. Quick Trip, best bathrooms overall.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fuck somebody in a gas station bathroom here in the Twin Cities, Quick Trip.
Well, when I was growing up, the first job that I remember my mom having was working at the truck stop in Rogers. And actually the married girl that I'm still involved with, she also worked at that truck stop a handful of years ago, and one of her jobs was cleaning the showers.
Really?
I mean, she said there is more pubes and fluids than the beat-off booth at fucking Sex World.
Well, those are probably actually beat-off booths.
Well,
the showers are become beat-off booths.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I've definitely jerked off in one of those booths.
Why wouldn't you?
Once or twice, just for the novelty of it.
Right. Are you talking about the showers or the ones downtown?
I'm talking about downtown at Sex World.
Oh, you did the ones where you watch the girls?
Where you have the ones where you have to put the money in. You can hit the button to switch through the videos. I've never actually I've not done the one where you watch the girls behind the glass.
See, I know somebody. I don't want to say his name, but a friend of mine, he told me about that. He used to be into that. I don't know if he'd ever tell me on a podcast. I would just love to pick somebody's brain about. I don't get that.
It's funny. Well,
they're dancing where they're watching you jerk off. I don't want nobody seeing me jerk off. I mean, my girl, I guess that's okay.
There's
some stranger watch me jerk off.
Well, that would fall under fetishes. Voyeurism is a huge category in that. I stumbled into the Red Rooster and the Green Door downtown Las Vegas. That's a swingers club.
Is it?
$60 a head to get in. No,
shit.
$45 a head, $60 for couples. No drugs, no prostitution, and no means no. It's a full bar.
Okay.
You can just go in there. Clothing is optional. So I went in there. There's a dude sitting at the bar just naked having a drink. And we got the tour and, they have all these different rooms. It's kind of like going through, if you've ever been to the Red Carpet Inn in St. Cloud, something like that, like a multi-level type of venue, like all these different rooms and chambers. And, it was really kind of intimate and creepy at the same time. And there was the voyeur room where people could sit and watch you. There was the two-way mirror rooms where you didn't know if people were watching you. Just you could be hanging out there and meet some chicks. So instead of saying, oh, let's slip off and bang in the bathroom. Oh, hey, I'm into you. You're into me. Let's just go over here to the bed and have sex. Maybe you close the door. Maybe you don't. All the way down at the end was the orgy room. And that's where everybody was at. This was
right.
3 p.m. on a Tuesday. And there's 10 dudes all standing down there. They're leaning on this rail. They're peering into imagine a small stage.
Okay.
And you had a set of risers, and then there was a fence, a railing that went around there, so you could just lean on the railing and be looking into the room right there. And it's just a bed, and I think it was a dude and 2 chicks having a threesome. And there was 7 or 8 dudes just standing there with drinks in their hand, just watching. Me and my buddy were there with the guy giving us a tour. He's like, oh, yeah, it's pretty slow. Come on in. We'll give you a tour. If you want to come back later, here's my card. So we sat there. We had a drink, watched, some randoms have sex. And
Do they acknowledge you when you're having sex? Are they even aware that you're there?
I don't really remember eye contact, but
Very weird. Be hard for me.
yeah, you know, so I mean, it's a little bit more, it's not as nasty as like a nude beach, you know, where you have just like a bunch of big, disgusting fat people from overseas. These are just random local people hanging out. You know, you could go there for a first date or have a group function for work there. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, we hit our goal this month. Let's all go to the Red Rooster.
Let's go have an orgy, a group office orgy.
I'm buying.
That's an office orgy. All right, we're getting close on time. We're an hour in here, but I want to get to these stories that you got, and we've got our big story closer we want to share too. So I'm looking through this list here, and I'm trying to cherry pick the ones I think are really ones. I want to start with this one because I know this name, and I know there's going to be a funny story attached to it. So I'm going to start you with the Sherry Minor story, because I've known that name since I've known you and our mutual friends. And I want to know about Sherry Minor. So you start me with that story.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of really good ones in there. And she loves,
I know I've heard part of it, I just can't remember.
She loves anal.
Oh, really?
You know, she told me she was like 42 or 43 when we met. You know,
right.
This was a decade ago, so who knows. But yeah, you know, I spent some time in professional athletics, and this gal was a bit of a you know, a groupie, if you will. She followed along, you know, a lot of professional fighters and whatnot.
She's the fighter
yeah.
groupie. That's where I know the name.
She's one of them. She was the old school, she was the veteran. Like a lot of these groupies were still younger girls that were pre-prime, if you will. Sherry was definitely beyond that. She had a slutty 15-year-old daughter at the time. And, but this is when the Teebie Smalls character first emerged out of Facebook. And I was telling my story as it was, just kind of explaining my normal day-to-day exhibitions out there in the grease world. And, you know, along with the telling of these stories in such a crude way, attracted a pretty big population, and you usually didn't expect too many females to be wanting to hear about bloody butt sex, you know. But this gal was just
that's the ultimate litmus test right there to know how much of a freak they are. If they're reading your shit and they're fans of your shit,
and they're loving it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm on there completely anonymous. I never had a Facebook before. Well, I mean, I guess I did, and that's what, you know, that's for a different part of the story. But once my troll profile came to fruition, I snagged a handful of fans, a couple of females, and I actually wound up sleeping with like 4 or 5 girls that I met just through my online banter.
Holy
and this
shit.
was when I started taking advantage of the one thing that Zuckerberg set out to try to avoid, is random people adding you on your friends list.
All right.
You know, it was all like, oh, you had to know who they were, you had to connect through emails or some kind of other connection other than just like age, sex, location. Oh, you look like a good person to add. You know, so this is how I was embedding myself into all of these other people's lives unannounced. And, but this brought obviously addicted to attention as well, whatever anybody could give to her. When she was living up in the Duluth area, some mutual friends of ours had a house while they were in college, and she was kind of like their frat house cum dumpster. You know, like everybody in the house had banged her. You know, she was one of those girls who are like, well, I'm done in this guy's room tonight, I'll go stay with so-and-so the next night. You know, I think, you know, almost every party house that I've lived in, we've usually had some kind of house girlfriend. You know, kind of that skis that gets tossed around. But Sherry was something special. She was, her and I started just chit-chatting. I didn't know very much about Facebook or how to interact, but she kind of took me under her wing.
Right.
You know, I think she was kind of the aggressor in this situation. And I had no pictures of myself. She had no clue who I was, how old I was, what I looked like. I mean, this girl was just out for the D. And she was so desperate. It just so happened she got lucky that it was me, you know, it wasn't just some, you know, some other random creep out there. And she but we had like mutual friends, and this was all through these shows, so she must have thought that I was okay, and obviously it was just some regular ongoing banter, and she was into it. And eventually she's like, oh hey, let's meet up for a drink one day. Well, that drink, she's like, oh hey, I'm going up to Duluth where I used to live, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, this is a girl that I've never met, knew nothing about her, didn't even know really what she looked like. She had no idea what I looked like. And I went and met her at her place in Blaine, and we got in her car and we took off and went to Duluth, spent the weekend up there. Never met this fucking broad, knew nothing. And a buddy of mine had tossed me.
What's her background? Does she have a job? What's her?
Well, you know, that's kind of the weird thing. There was always the story that her daughter was like the child of a professional baseball player. Whatever that means, we don't know. She could never tell us this guy's name, who he was, who he played for. But all these other random, like, mutual people that me and my friends knew, there was a handful of people that had hooked up with her before. So she'd been kind of cycled into this system. And a few people knew a few things about her, but, you know, never any of the true details.
Gotcha.
But chances are she's kind of
like the Bigfoot of pussy, like a legend.
She probably slept with some guy that had a Twins hat on. You know what I'm saying? Got knocked up and just said, yeah, he's a pro ball player. Never saw
Kirby
him
Puckett.
again.
He's white. He said he was Kirby Puckett.
Oh, my God.
Kirby's
Casey
dead.
White. Yeah. Yeah, Kirby Puckett. We hooked up in 2010. And so I want to say, like, she's just an old school slut, dude. She's cool. She had a decent job, I guess.
Slut. Nice.
But she, like, lived with some other dude, and it was, I don't know, kind of a weird situation. But I want to say she was broke and she was kind of living off of somebody else, but not like in a relationship or sexual type of situation. Just some older guy that was helping taking care of her and her teenage daughter. And but somehow I think her parents are kind of wealthy, not like super rich, but enough to take care of a 45-year-old daughter who's a dipshit.
Gotcha.
And so I think there was still some support from there. I was like, well, okay, that's fine. She seemed fine. She seemed professional. And we took off and went to Duluth. And I want to say we just went to, the Saratoga Club, the strip club. And just got inebriated. This girl knew. She instantly fell for me. She starts pumping me full of drinks. Well, that's my weak spot. It's like, if you want to get anywhere with me, just take me out for drinks and I'll probably sleep with you. You know, I'm no different than that attention-starved whore out there.
Right.
And I think she knew that right away. All of a sudden, she's like, oh! Like, she knew she was going to get some. So we're at the strip club. And like halfway through the night, I pop a Viagra, a whole 100 milligrams. And, you know, for a guy like me, probably only, don't need any of it, but probably would have only wanted to take half of one for the recreation. Right. Well, I didn't know any better. I just took one. I was like, okay, this is fun. I used to be a pill popper back in the day. Well, so then we leave the club, we catch a cab back to the hotel. Why take another one on the way back? So now I'm like, you know, just full of fury, 200 milligrams of raw Viagra. I mean, I'm
Holy
just like,
shit.
you know, my dick is like sticking out the bottom of my pants. We went back to the hotel room, you know, and just, you know, it was just fucking like two gorillas on ecstasy on fucking steroids. And I know she was kind of slipping in and out of consciousness too. And I definitely put it in her ass. She was conscious enough to be okay with it. You know, she didn't resist me by any means. You know, I think I'm pretty sure I passed out inside of her. You know, woke up the next morning still just a raging hard on.
You ever fall asleep eating pussy? I've done that.
I don't think so.
I fell asleep eating pussy before.
That sounds delightful.
Yeah, it is. It's like a natural little pillow, a little wet pillow.
But the takeaway is that she fell in love. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take and you power up. You know, I was 20, 28, 29 years. No, I was probably like 30 years old. And I power up 200 milligrams of Viagra full of every possible alcohol I could think of, and free stay at the Holiday Inn. She, it was probably the best she's ever had. I don't know. I mean, but it was definitely like, it was no slouch, no 2-pump chump. I mean, this was fucking, space age fucking high-end medical technology,
right?
That I definitely didn't need, but I did anyways,
right?
And then the excess of it. So she definitely wasn't bored with it. Like it was too much where she finally eventually passed out. Well, ever since then, we'd stayed homies, so, that night wasn't all that greasy other than it was, than the story of itself of like, it was a first time hookup, not even meeting, and a fake profile on Facebook, no idea who I was or what was going to happen. She's like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Let's just take off and go to Duluth for it. She paid for everything.
Holy
breakfast,
shit.
all the drinks, the hotel room. And so throughout the years, this became like, if I'd see her at the show, eventually she'd start following me around. But there's some really, really epic tales of Sherry Minor. I mean, I've used, I used to have this hand massager because I cut my hand with a chainsaw years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd carry that around. It kind of looked like a dildo. It had this ball on the end, but it was like this long, about this big around. It was just like a wand that I would use for my hand for like getting into like the knuckle areas and the wrist and stuff. This is a legit medical device. And, we had an event at the Hyatt Regency, and I had a room, and she came in and she spent the night with me, and it was just, I mean, she's in her 40s, so she dried up pretty often,
right?
Especially since all the heavy drinking. And this might be something to think about out there, fellas. If your old lady, if she's either bleeding or if she's all dried up, there's a good chance there's some decent lubrication in the butt. It gets sweaty in there. There's a little bit of, ass juice that floats around. I mean, it all works. You got to watch out for getting like gangrene and stuff. Make sure you don't have any open sores on your dick before you do it. I'm not one to use a rubber, neither is she. So, but of everything that she let me do to her, we destroy that hotel room too. But I do recall at one point, doggy style, and reaching into my bag and grabbing this wand and firing it up and shoving that in her ass as I was banging her doggy style. I mean, it was all spur of the moment type of stuff. This was all impromptu. This wasn't like... This was just like, hey, what's next? What are you going to put in me now? So
it was all improv, and that was great.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was just those types of nights. Like usually if you'd hope for going out to the bar and there's going to be that one slutty girl out there that's going to let you do stuff to her, that's the one. She'll be just hanging out there in the crowd, just buying drinks for herself, buying drinks for anybody who comes up and talks to her. Just a good old fashioned whore, but a nice lady.
I've met similar one, but not to that degree. She seems top of the.
A real
top of the
nice
pile.
gal too. Like never had any.
Are you still
trouble
in
with her?
contact with? Can you still get in if you need to?
Oh, I'm sure I could send her a friend request and break up her current relationship. Oh. I mean, I ran into her at a bar downtown one time, and she was on a date. I've hooked up with her in like 4 or 5 bathrooms. You know what I'm saying? It's like of all my bathroom hookups, I've been with that one girl multiple times. And she's not anybody that I've ever had like a regular relationship with. It's not like, oh, hey, we're going to the bar tonight, let's go. Right. No, it's just she happens to be at the same event or in the same area that I was. If I struck out somewhere else, hey, if Sherry's still out there lingering around.
Because that reminded me of something. Let's have a weirdest place you've ever had sex contest. You go first. Weirdest geographical location. Could be place, business, wherever. I think I can beat you. As prolific of your sexual adventures are.
Yeah, and the mundane thing about it is that other than like the bathrooms and the back seats, it's been pretty normal. Other than like, well, let's see. I mean, I guess I've technically had sex on a dance floor.
Okay.
That's just pull it out while she's got the skirt type of thing. But I can't really recall anything really obscure other than the dingy bathrooms or back seats. Something might pop to me at some point, and
I'll
got to flip through
I'll
the
tell you mine.
Rolodex.
See if you can beat this one.
Please.
All right. Early 20s, back home, southern Missouri, and in my town, it was a Civil War battleground, right?
Yeah.
And they had during the time of the Civil War, there was 4 forts. There was Fort A, Fort B, Fort C, and Fort D. Okay? But now there's only one fort left still standing, and it's Fort D, right? And there's not big, huge forts. It's just basically like, I don't know, the size of a really big shed, and it's kind of circular or whatever, and it's just like a historical landmark.
Okay,
anyway,
sure.
So at that time, I was dating a lot of black girls, right? Girl I was dating, we would go there to the Fort D and have sex at this historical landmark that was a site of a battle during the Civil War, and I always enjoyed and appreciated the irony of me, a white guy, and a black girl coming together and having sex
Literally.
in this place.
I wonder if
there was a fight between slavery and all these other issues from way back. I always thought that was kind of a unique.
Absolutely.
That's my weirdest
your ghost
place.
is going to be there forever.
That's true.
I would say, when I was 29 working at Best Buy, banging the 17-year-old customer service girl. Her father was the preacher at a church there in Maple Grove, and on our rides home, we had this thing called cul-de-sacs, and being that her dad was a church and she was a badass, and I couldn't just bring her to her parents' house and bang her in the driveway. And Maple Grove, it's a metropolis area. It's not very. She was still in high school, so like she's been to all the parking lots in the area, and she knows which ones are patrolled. It's like, hey, I've got weed, I've got booze, I'm 30 years old, and I'm with a minor. I'm not going to get caught in some fucking parking lot, I can just see that headline going down. And so we made it a scent to go to as many cul-de-sacs as we could, because that was usually a pretty, like, you just kind of pull around, stop, 10, 15 minutes. But the other big thing that we were into that was even a little bit more intimate and secluded was the parking lot of churches. So I have made love to a minor, breaking every possible rule with her that I could, including fellatio and anal sex, and, which are apparently illegal in multiple states across the board. But yeah, just in the entire irony, and to be blasphemous was to, so I'm pretty sure I've had sex in every church parking lot in Maple Grove, including
all denominations were covered. Catholic,
the Hindu temple,
nice.
right over, off of like, is that like Maple Grove Parkway or something like that on the north side? Yeah. But yeah, you can see the top of the temple, but we happened to just be out in those back roads creeping around, and she didn't have to be home until 9:30. We kind of got lost, actually. We're like, whoa, what is this place? It's Hindu temple, big stupa on the top.
Right.
And they had construction going on there. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. We'll sit there and kind of watch what was going on. But yeah, we're definitely, we were making a point to get into... we actually we tried to get into the church
right
at one time, because we kind of wanted to do that, but we settled for there was like a utility shed.
Okay.
Kind of
that
out
counts.
back. Yeah. So
Kinda.
We just pulled up in the car. Like, it's a nice night. There's a couple of things in the car. We get kind of cramped every once in a while. She was like 5'11", so she's a little bit taller than me. And, so we just got up and walked over to the church. We were kind of between the church door and this dingy shed and banged it out,
Nice.
Standing cartwheel 69, baby.
God was watching the whole time.
Throwing up the bullhorns.
All right.
All right. It was too abstract, but that was definitely, church parking lots. I would have to say.
Well, then you can go back to that same church and then marry whenever you get married, and go back to one of those same churches and do it there. That'd be the full circle story.
She played the guitar in the band, so it was. I mean, she was really involved. I mean, this was
Clearly, she was involved in all aspects of the church. All right, let's jump to another couple stories here because we're getting close to the end. I got to hear this story. This one you've titled the stripper with a heart of gold and a stinky pussy.
Oh man, Dream Girls, baby. This was
Dream Club, the strip club.
Yeah, that's when I was working.
One of my previous guests, who's a friend of our mutual friend DJ St. Joel,
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah.
He was a DJ at there as well too.
Yeah.
You've probably known him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the DJ that worked at Dream Girls for the last 20 years just passed away recently, a good friend of mine and Joel's.
Oh, really?
And so like ever since the early 90s, there was two main DJs downtown. That was DJ St. Joel at Deja Vu and Tony that was over at Dream Girls, which, owned by the same people or whatever. Tony and Joel knew each other real well ever since they were kids. And I was working at Rosen's across the street. Well, Tony was a regular over there. He'd come over and he'd get a shot, get a beer, before his shift would start. He never smoked weed, but all of his friends, all of his homies, obviously working in the strip club, they were all fucking down to blaze. And I always had some really, really good dope. So he was like, hey, why don't you swing on over? So I kind of set up shop there out of his, out of the DJ booth. The guy that was running the place, he knew what I was up to. He just needed to wet his beak a little bit. So I'd toss him a little something every time I walked in the door. Me and Tony would be hanging out there and whatnot. And, but afterwards, oh shit, I just forgot what I was talking about. What were we just on there?
About the DJs.
This was the DJ. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I was able to set up shop there. I got to know a couple of the girls, because he was buying stuff for me, and then he was helping out some of these other girls. And he's like, hey, I tell you what, let me just connect you with a couple of these folks, then I don't have to play the middleman or whatever. So, and I happened to go up to this one girl and was like, hey, here's my number, we can chit chat. And she was, right up my alley. This girl looked just like Reese Witherspoon when she was younger. She had long, fake blonde hair. She was 5 foot, 95 pounds, no tits, nice big nipples. I mean, this was definitely my jam. And, so we started, that relationship kicked off. She was a single mom and she was still living with the kid's dad. But, that was great. I kind of moved in on that while he was out of town. But then we started going out a couple of times, and we eventually started hooking up. And our first date was on Halloween. We went out to a party, and she did something kind of sexy, and I did the Justin Timberlake dick in a box, and I had this cool box, and I actually went out and bought a real dildo with the nice fleshy outside on it, battery operated, rigged it up so it was in the box. If you took the top off, you could see it in the box.
Right.
So you could reach in there, grab it, and I could turn it on so it'd vibrate. Super awesome idea. And we went out. She got wasted. She threw up in my truck. And we went back to her best friend's place, who was also a stripper, a really hot stripper, Auntie Jaden. And so the next day, so we wound up hooking up. I banged her on the couch. You don't notice these types of things, the first time. Once you get wrapped up in a relationship and you start spending more time together and whatnot, well, being that I didn't notice it the first couple of times, it just, by that time you're getting comfortable. But eventually it started to stink, and it started to smell like, it smelled like an old condom must have been stuck up there. Like if you've ever smelled, like open up a rubber and you've smelled the inside, it kind of has that rubbery type of chemical smell to it sometimes. Right. Or maybe like it's old or been sitting out in the heat. Anyways, it wasn't good.
Right.
And it was palpable. I mean, this shit hung in the fucking air. But I mean, she was so hot and the pussy was so good. Like I didn't care. You just pound through that shit. You're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And the funny thing is like it's not like she was just sitting around and she stunk. This was like once you got going and the vaginal secretions started getting going, that's when you could start to smell it. Like I didn't start to smell it until you're like halfway into it and you're about ready to bust a nut. You're like, oh man, what the fuck is that? But it just, and eventually, so then like 2 months went by where I was just like, I'm okay with it. I'm working with it. And then it got to a point where like she was such a sweetheart that I couldn't say anything to her.
Right.
I didn't know her well enough. We just started dating, you know. I mean, things were going really good. I just
didn't want to give her a complex. You didn't want to fuck her up.
I could tell a guy 1,000 ways how to approach your girl about a stinky pussy. But could I do it myself? Absolutely not. You know, so I do have somewhat of a heart down there, but you know, this girl was awesome. I mean, she loved to drink and smoke weed and do coke. And I brought her down to a buddy's house of mine that owns a real popular bar in the cities. And, you know, we had a huge like weekend long party. And, you know, she was just awesome. She was super fun. You know, we did I did like a 3-way bed dance with her and one of her workers at the club one night. Just showed up like, hey, you know, you're on the clock. I've got some, I just sold 2 ounces of weed at double value to a bunch of strippers. I've got some extra dough in my pocket. Yeah, why don't you and your Asian girlfriend with fake tits go and play around in the bed for a little while? That's cool. And that's how she knew that I was cool. She's like, yeah, all right, he's all right. He's not going to get jealous. You know, nothing's going to happen. But so then we actually make it official and we're dating and, you know, things are going well. But it just, the stink, I couldn't. So then like the cool thing is that
how long are you dealing with it? What's the time frame between?
The relationship probably only lasted like 3 or 4 months.
So for 4 months, you're not saying anything?
Yeah. Like the first month I didn't notice it. And then the next 2 months is when it started getting real bad. God. But I started to notice like it only happened when we started having sex, like in the middle of it, you know, just kind of like when she starts getting wet and things start, you know, her kid was only 3 months old. I mean, talk about moving fast. I mean, this broad fucking shit out her kid and she was no slut by any means.
For any children that are listening to this episode, babies don't really get shit out. They actually come out of a vagina. What he's talking about is just, he's being humorous.
This has been a public service.
You were not shit out, any of you. Well, maybe you were, Billy, but whatever. Anyway.
So eventually, she was cool with boning in the shower. So we did it in the shower a lot. That was okay. That worked for me. So like.
That could be like the first hint.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go fuck in the shower? You know where the soap is?
It was just so hot, you know, it's just sexy, you know, like that was just oozing, you know, intimacy. I mean, that was great. And I remember one time we banged and like we went all the way through it, but once we were done, I wrapped her up in her sheet. I mean, this is all very nonchalant. I just kind of, you know, like we were having fun playing, rolling around in the sheets and the pillows. Only I kind of kept her contained, and that seemed to help. Right. But again, it's palpable. It floats around up there, and you can only hold on for so long. And you know, I didn't know anybody else that I could turn to talk to at the time. I just broke up with her. I gave her some excuse about living too far away. And, you know, after we went through all this stuff where I talked her into kicking her boyfriend out and, you know, everything was going well.
So you've never told her that was...
No. She just... And I don't think she ever really noticed it either.
The surprise ending is going to be she's a huge podcast fan.
Oh,
she's going to hear this episode.
The funny thing is that, well, see, she worked at Deja Vu. And here's the funny thing is this girl was a classic inappropriate boner. She was 7 months pregnant and stripping. Mm-hmm. Being that this girl was, you know, 5 foot, 100 pounds, just an absolute doll. I mean, she was making like $700 a night with these creeps coming in there and just rubbing her belly and blah. Okay, that's totally cool. I'm fine with that, you know. So I mean, but I eventually talked her out.
Did she do the milk squirt too? Did she do that?
I don't think so.
I worked and to anybody listening who's not been in strip clubs, that's a very common thing. Apparently, that's very popular. Girls tend to make more money when they're pregnant. They go in and they work. But I worked at one. I tell a lot of stories about working at the Blue Martini, and it was right on the border between Illinois and Missouri. I used to do security at this strip club called the Blue Martini, And there was a pregnant girl who was working there when I worked there, and she would squirt the dudes in the audience with her milk from her tits.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah. She made lots of money for that, too.
Me and some friends met a girl at a bar over in St. Paul a few years back, and we brought her back to the house, and she could lactate on command. She had a kid, but the kid was like 4 years old, and she had fake tits. But she's like, "You guys want to see me lactate?" You know, I mean, this girl is disgusting. Yeah. But our buddy banged it out. She had a nasty smelling pussy too. We could smell it in the back seat of the car.
Yikes.
Because like our two buddies were driving up front, me and my other two buddies were in the back, and she was with one of the guys, and like she's sitting on his lap, and he's got his hand down the front of her pants. He's just fingering her way, and you can just smell the stink, you know. But you know, we all left the windows up because it's like, hey, you know, it's pussy stink in the car,
right?
So. But yeah, we actually had a video. There was 2 or 3 of us that had camera phone videos of her lactating. I mean, when we showed it to a handful of people, I never would have believed it myself if I hadn't seen it firsthand.
Crazy.
But no, she was not, capable of doing that. Not that I knew of. At least it didn't get brought into play, but she was definitely fun. That let me use other types of items on her and, you know, enjoyed them as well. But yeah, that stank that hung out up there, it just...
So you never figured out what it was? If it was some kind of medical condition, and you never...
Straight speculation. There could have been something lost and forgotten up there.
Like another baby or something?
Could have been. It could have been.
Forgot she was pregnant, forgot to have it or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, it progressively got worse if I were to try and remember it right. You know, and maybe it was just I just didn't notice it. I was naive to it at the beginning, and it's just always been there. I just didn't start to pick up on it until 3 months later. But it did eventually get to the point. I mean, I'll put up with a lot. I mean, especially for a broad like her. I mean, she was hot. I probably would have married this girl. I ain't even lying.
Stinky pussy.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, if she hadn't had the stinky pussy, I would have been able to get through everything else. I was definitely, you know, falling for. I mean,
I think that falls under, you know, through sickness and through health. I think it's, you know, stinky pussy falls under sickness. That's how it works.
Very well could have been. I don't know if my insurance would have covered it.
All right, we got one more closing story, but I'm looking at this list of stories here, and I want to make sure that there's nothing else that just seems to. Oh well, we gotta make one where you don't come out the winner in it. So you gotta tell the story the night you got the STD from a twin, and then we'll do the last story after that one.
So I'm living in Richfield,
right?
And you know, with a good friend of ours, and we all went downtown, and this is great because the way that I met this girl, her and her twin sister were close friends with the girl that originally invited us out downtown. I met that girl. Her name's Courtney. I met her at Psycho Susie's like a few months earlier. Man, that story just ties into so many things. I got into a bar fight like the night before. That was actually the first night I met DJ St. Joel. I was at his bar and I fucking got whacked by this dude, and I actually knocked him out and I got drug out of the bar. But she, God damn it, my brain just went fucking far again. Oh yeah, so I had we had actually met. So okay, here it is. So my face was black and blue. Okay. I looked like Braveheart. That's where it all came down. So like, if you want to get attention from ladies at a bar, you show up with a fucking busted mug, you know, black eye, everything. Literally, I was 2 different colors on my face.
Really?
And this girl we were sitting kind of by the door that went outside of the smoking patio. This girl was running in and out all night, and she stopped and kind of chit-chatted with us once in a while when she stopped and bought drinks. Well, she comes crawling up to me, and she's like, where'd you get that black eye? I think it's so hot. And I told her about the fight that I was in. So she was like instantly smitten. And she's there with her boyfriend. And,
Right.
you know, he's a little guy like me. And if I had to kind of give a description of what this guy looked like, he looks a lot like Charlie Day. If you know what Charlie Day is.
I know that name. I can't think of the face.
He's Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Guy looks just like him. A little bit shorter version. But like he was a really cool dude too. And he liked this and he really liked us, and she came home with us, and I wound up actually hooking up with this guy's girlfriend while our buddy had her boyfriend downstairs at his house. Like, yeah, why don't you guys come on back to our place for an after party?
Did he know? Was he?
No,
Oh, okay.
not really.
Maybe he's like, oh yeah, go ahead.
He was downstairs. They were watching some stuff on TV. I went upstairs with this girl. Like, we're just having a good time. He just thought that we were completely harmless. And he was broadside. My buddy was running interference for me. And it was funny. Like, this dude comes upstairs, and I've got his girl. Like, we're sitting in the spider position on the floor. You know, I've got her hands, like my hands on her ass and stuff like this. Somehow just completely naive. We wound up, I wound up actually, we wound up just messing around that night, but still, they were engaged. You know, me and our buddy pick up these two, you know, again, this girl seemed to be available for the picking. She was with the guy. Well, whatever. I'm going to have to find my way through this equation somehow.
Right.
And it worked. The girl like literally fell in love with me. You know, same type of thing. And this was when Teebie Smalls was also just kind of getting going. So I was kind of hot at the time, you know, when you're kind of sleeping with a few people, the ball kind of keeps rolling, the attitude, the ego, the arrogance, it all kind of builds up. And this girl absolutely just adored me and my banter. And, so a couple of times, so me and our friends, we all started hanging out downtown every so often. And, you know, she was like, well, we've got kind of an open relationship. He doesn't really care too much of what I do, you know, so I can kind of have a boy to play with. So he actually liked me too. Like, he just thought I was super cool. And he's like, hey, I love my girlfriend and she's really into you. You guys can hang out, do whatever. Like, we were never left alone.
So he's like an OG
But we
cuck.
were. Kind of. For a minute there, I was kind of starting to think like if he liked me, like if he wanted to drag me into their bedroom.
Right.
Wasn't anything like that. He was just kind of he like instantly became a fan. Like he really started to respect me and he liked me and he was just like, yeah, dude, you guys are fucking really cool to hang out with. I'm like, dude, don't give me that kind of a window. I'm going to fuck your girl.
Right.
and that's exactly what happened. Because one night after we all started getting really close, she had, So she says, hey, why don't you guys come out with us downtown? We went to, what's that piano bar name over there on Block E?
I know what you're talking about. I think it moved, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we went. And this was a Saturday night downtown. We all just get completely smashed. And then somehow at some point, everybody just scatters. Poof, gone. Well, I'm stuck with Courtney's two friends, and they're twins. They're not the best looking. They're not skinny. We're not talking like, you know, Dom triplet type of girls. We're talking like, you know, 4 or 5s, you know, but whatever. I mean, when you're wasted, you know, that was good enough. And I'm stuck with these two girls and I'm like, where the fuck is everybody? Well, it's a Saturday night downtown. It's 2:00 in the morning. There's not a cab to be found for miles because everybody's already got cabs. I'm sitting there trying to wave people down. I'm calling Uber. I'm calling our personal cab driver. I'm calling actually, I think this was before Uber even came out, but the only thing I could flag down is a fucking stretch limousine. This guy pulls over, big old stretch limo. I was like, we got like $60. We're going to Richfield right down the road. Can you hook me up? He's like, yeah. And like along the way, we got this guy stopping like at the gas station so I can get money. Then the girl's got to get out and piss.
Right.
I mean, we're totally taking advantage of this poor guy. You know, he's like, well, you know, I don't have any other fare, so that's fine. We wind up showing up back to the after party. I pull up in the party's already going.
Right.
I pull up in a limo. You know, two twins get out. You know, we go walking up to the door. And the one kind of passed out on the couch. Well, the other one, I'm there with 3 other professional fighters. You know, and these guys are all studs too, you know? So, I mean, it's not like I'm hanging out with a bunch of fat guys and like losers and stuff. Like these guys are like professionally trained athletes. Like any girl that walks through the door is going to be all hot on them. Well, this girl starts kind of getting with everybody. Like I'm making out with her and playing around with her. Next thing you know, she dips off into my bedroom with one of my buddies. Now then she's making out with him and she actually blew him. But the fucked up thing is that she reaches in her pocket. She did this twice that night, 2 or maybe 3 times with all of the guys that she was with. She was with I was like the 3rd one in line, even though I was the one that brought her home. I was like the 3rd one still to hook up.
You got sloppy thirds?
Yeah.
And you brought her home?
Yeah, but I did everything to this girl. I made her fucking pay. And so she's blowing my one buddy in the bedroom, and she pulls out the like where you have like high school pictures and stuff, those clear fold out things, so you can have like photos of people.
Oh yeah.
Kind of comes out of a wallet.
Yeah.
She has one of those things. She reaches in her purse and she pulls out this accordion of like 5 or 6 pictures. They're all of her daughter. Her daughter's like 4 or 5 years old. She takes the pictures out of her purse, sets them on the ottoman, but turns them around so they're facing the wall. And she's like, I can't have my daughter watch this. I'm like, the pictures were in your purse before. Why did you take them out of your purse and then turn them around? Again, this is just fucked up.
Is she drunk or crazy?
Yeah, wasted.
Okay.
And, little from column A, a little from column B.
A little bit of everything. Okay.
And something about my daughter can't watch this. Well, then after they're done, I'm sitting there banging on the fucking door. They finally come out, and then the party kind of goes back, and she was messing around with somebody else over on the stairs, heading downstairs, and I'm like, all right. Finally, eventually, everybody wound up leaving, so I take this broad downstairs, and I bring her back into this. It's like a closet. It's like a room, but it's kind of a closet. It's kind of like a crawl space underneath the steps.
Oh yeah,
there's a door that goes underneath there. So I wind up banging this girl, no rubber, just banging away, and then she's like,
3rd dick of the night, no rubber.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that like halfway through, she stops me and tells me to put one on. I was like, okay, so I do. I wind up banging her. I wound up fucking her in the ass, and then we wound up, and then we go.
That was the minute she just realized she probably has a STD. Oh yeah, all right, I gotta tell her.
Yeah, well, yeah, it didn't exactly come up, but she just happened to say, you better. I'm like, okay. And against my will, I did.
Right.
And eventually, then when we were done, we went into the living room and passed out on the couch. Well, and at that point, I was still trying to do it again, after we were done, but I was just like, oh, what the fuck, I'm still kind of drunk and awake. I'll sit there and still try and molest this broad. Well, then she's got to get up and throw up. So she gets up, runs into the bathroom, falls down on the floor. She's just got a shirt on, and she's throwing up in the bathroom. So I go walk into the bathroom to see if I can help out. She's just hanging there with her face in the toilet, arm up over her face. I walk in there, and I've got to take a piss. I take a piss while she's hanging right there in the toilet. Christ. And I pull out my camera phone, and I start filming. I start slapping her in the face with my dick. She's conscious, but not really. She's,
Oh, God.
So I started slapping her on in the face with my dick, just slap. So like I got the cock ring on there. It's like hitting on her forehead. It's kind of in her mouth, but not really. Kind of like, yeah. And that was the end of that series. I showed a handful of people that video, and she pulled the same thing with while we were banging. She reached into her purse and she pulled out those pictures. I think she actually showed me a picture of her daughter and then turned the pictures around so she couldn't see.
Weird.
Yeah, again,
how old is she, you think?
She was like 24.
Okay.
And so like for like a week or two later, I've never You know what? I think I had the clap once before, but it was the non-symptomatic version where it didn't show any symptoms. I just happened to go in for a checkup.
Right.
You know, and this was shortly after I moved back from Las Vegas, and it's just like, you know, I actually had something else going on down there that I had to have checked out. A little something called molluscum, which is not an STD. It's more caused from overusage. So if you beat off a lot or if you have a lot of sex, it's kind of like acne almost. It's called molluscum.
What is it? Hold on. What's that?
It's like it's almost like getting zits, like tiny little zits on your dick. But yeah, they're not like warts or anything. It's just like an inflammation or like a reaction or something. You know, like caused from like sweat, or like if you get like bumps on your back if they're all sweaty, or like the bumps on your ass, something. But not quite like that. They're just tiny little white things where you'd almost not notice them, and then you're like, what's that? And it's actually not an STD. It's something that you could get just as easily from shaking hands with somebody.
Okay.
But the doctor said it's from overusage. And I've gotten that twice from banging a girl. You know, it's one of those just like marathon nights where you're just not going to bust. And but so I went in to have that checked. This was years ago, and I wound up getting. They're like, oh, well, just to let you know, you also have gonorrhea. I'm like, oh, sweet. I didn't even know. I was like, I thought usually that was like pissing razor blades or itching and stuff or pus. And like, well, you know, it doesn't always show symptoms, because like gonorrhea and chlamydia almost never show symptoms with the female. Really? That's how it gets passed around. It's usually like, it's a culture that grows inside your urethra, and when it swells, that's why it burns. Like, you know, if you ever try to pinch your dick when you piss, you know, it burns. That's what the burning sensation is. It's not. It's more like you can pretty much do that, give yourself that same sensation if you want to know.
Oh, it's because your thing is closed off because of the inflation. Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
It's not like you're pissing something.
God, we're learning so much on this highly educational podcast. This should be a
That's
PBS
what we're here for.
Episode. It should be like fucking Big Bird should be
PBS. On and so after I hooked up with this twin, I'm at home, and I was actually living at my parents' house, and for a couple of days it was starting to itch, my urethra, like in the middle on the inside, but I just thought maybe it's just dirty. You know, I'm being just like, not think, because I've never had any symptoms. I've never knew like, oh, you definitely got gonorrhea. You know, there was nothing that was coming out, nothing that burned, but like actually when I peed, it actually felt better because it was actually kind of itching from the inside. But it was such a mild itch that like, hey, you know, I'm a guy. You know, I got jock itch all the time. I don't fucking care. Well, and eventually it got to the point where I was like, okay, there's definitely something going on here. Now it's just too much. It's centralized in one area. I'm a reasonably bright person. So I went to the free clinic and, you know, got checked out. And, you know, at this day and age, they can tell you right away, like, oh, hey, congratulations, you got gonorrhea and chlamydia. We're going to, you know, give you 5 pills, and 3 or 4 days later, you should be fine. So, you know, I go to the clinic, and it's about $65. And, you know, it's just like any antibiotic. By day 3, you start feeling better.
$65, that's not a bad price.
Yeah. Well,
two STDs for $65? It's a deal.
Well, the best part is, you know, I mean,
fuck, condoms will cost more than that. Fuck, you might as well just get the STD and go get it fixed.
Think about if you get the flu, you're down for like 12 days. You're losing weight. You know, you can't eat, you can't drink. You know, fuck, dude, you get, you know, you get the clap. I mean, you can still go. I actually banged 2 girls while I had the clap.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I mean, including the married girl, which I actually just admitted to her like a year ago.
Right.
You know, it's like you're concerned about all these things, but yet you're still coming over to visit me. And she insists that I put it in with no rubber every once in a while, just she likes the jewelry.
Jesus Christ.
You know, I think that was probably one of the next big game changers. You know, you get a little bling hanging from your dangle, and everybody wants to see it.
Oh, you're talking about your pierce.
Yeah, so that's probably gotten me more business than anything. Like, once the dick's already out,
what piercings do you got?
Just that.
It's just one?
Yep.
So it's not like what's it called? The ladder? The Jacob's
Nope, that's
ladder?
the Prince Albert.
Oh, okay.
The Jacob's ladder
That's the
is like the
electrical thing.
multiple bars that run down the shaft. And I have a friend that had that done. He had the Prince Albert at the end, and then the RoboCock, you know, the fucking bars that ran from top to bottom.
What does that do for you for sex? Is it a visual thing, or does it do anything for you, like give you some stimulation when you're banging a chick?
It's my flair.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's for novelty purposes.
It's your hood ornament.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's not meant to treat or prevent any type of condition or sexually transmitted disease.
Do you have like a novelty ring in it at all? Like,
yeah, it's about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Like I think it's 22
you should
gauge
get like
your
TV logo.
Oh man, that'd be great, right on the ball.
Right.
I thought about having like a jewel installed, but I'd be afraid of it falling out inside somebody. Like, damn, that'd be an expensive hookup.
That's how you propose.
Yeah. With this,
where are the diamond? Whatever pussy it falls in, I got to marry you. So
I got a classic picture that I do keep on my phone because I can fit my pinky through it.
Uh-huh.
And then if you do a close-up picture with it on my pinky, it looks like it's just a pinky ring.
Right.
Because it's got a ball on there. That's where it screws on. And that just kind of looks like, it just looks like a regular gauged earring. Anybody that that has those, it's the same thing. But it's not huge. It's only like, it's small. It's like the size of a piece of wire. It's not, it's 18 or 22 gauge or something like that. But it's cool because I can actually like if I'm wearing shorts, I can reach up and just pull out just the ring and show people, keep my dick pinched inside my shorts.
Right.
Or actually what I love doing, my favorite thing is when I am talking about it and a girl's curious, I'll be like, oh, check this out. I can actually separate it and you can see it in my pants. Reach down, just grab the end of it and pull on it and just kind of separate it in the pants a little bit and be like, yeah, see, you can just feel it. Like, my thumb and finger are separating the head of my dick from where they would be putting their fingers, so you can totally make contact and not be touching my dangle. Like a child could do it, and I wouldn't get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? It'd be no different than like if you had a catheter or like a shit bag.
True.
It's
just
it's a device.
It's a device. It's clinical. It's really nothing sexual.
Yeah,
about
this is a
it
medical
all.
device. It's an
Does it set off metal detectors?
I got beeped one time with the wand. Because like when you go through security,
like at a court or something, where you go?
Yeah, this was at an airport. When you go through security, they'll see. I mean, it's not anything because people have piercings and shit all the time. But what you'll usually get through the metal detectors, but they'll find it once in a while, depending on if they've got real sensitive wands.
Okay.
Because then if you get pulled off even further to the side, some people are just automatically on those lists like, oh, you're just going to get strep checked or, whatever.
Then you got to show your dick dangle to
and a couple of times I have disclosed that information even though it wasn't necessary. Just covering all my bases, just let you know.
You offer to show it to him, and if you want to see it, I'll just bring it right here. Just totally.
It's
see something, say
carry
something.
on.
Was there anything else about the STD before we go to the last story?
Well, I got diagnosed and I went, and I got it taken care of. I hooked up with 2 girls in the meantime, and then
did they get it?
No.
Okay.
No, it was like right towards the end where it's like there was one that I was pretty nervous. But I think like after the second or third day of the antibiotic, you're in the clear. They just give you the extra 2 days to make sure. I mean, I rolled the dice on it, dude. I'm a gambler, and I came out winning on that. But again, when you come out with an STD, it's never a win.
Right.
But it's funny is that, and then I wound up hooking up with her friend, the engaged girl, like the week later. I didn't tell her about it. She may have known that I think she knew that I was with her friend. She is, how girls know, like I know my girls that have STDs and stuff like that. And they weren't super close, but she still let me hit it. And then like 6 months to a year later, me and the same group went out. Me and just the one girl, not the twin. Like I never saw the twin or any of those girls ever again until this party we went to. And this was just random. And it was Courtney invites us out, and I wound up spending the night at Courtney and Josh's house. So this was the engaged girl and her boyfriend that liked me, and they're like, oh yeah, we're all going out, just a huge group of people. Sure, yeah, dude. Teebie can come with. That's we like this guy. Well, I wound up crashing on the floor with like 3 other people from the party. Well, one of the girls that was there, that was with a dude, was the girl that I fucking got the clap from. Jeez. But I didn't have the heart to roll over to her boyfriend and be like, hey, I got, bugs from your old lady.
How long of time was
this? Was less than a year.
Okay.
This is less than a year.
She might have been cleared up by then. So she.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, if you got it once, you might get it again.
Right. He might have gave it to her.
Maybe he did. Yeah. Maybe I was the in-between guy.
That'd be funny if you would have said that. Hey, bud, I got the clap from your girl. I was like, yeah, I know, I gave it to her.
You ever seen the pictures of her kid, man? No, dude. She always makes me turns them around.
Those are my kids too. That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, she definitely. But here's the thing: I've been like anti-rubbers my whole life. So even when I fucking put a condom on, I still get a fucking STD. It's like, this is bullshit. I'm surprised I didn't knock her up too.
Right.
Slutty girls like that are usually pretty good.
How many girls have you? I meant to ask that when we were talking about abortions. Well, how many girls have you impregnated?
2 that I know of.
What you know.
And one apparently was the married girl where she's like, yeah, one slipped through and there was some complication, blah, blah, blah. So that the jury is still technically out on, because it's like, you're married. Maybe you're just blowing smoke up my ass. She's been pissed at me so many times ever since the Teebie Smalls legacy ever started.
Have you ever had a girl literally blow smoke up your ass?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so. And the funny thing is that most of the girls that I get wrapped up with, they like me too much.
Right.
It seems like but they also know that I'm not the type of person that you're going to be able to bullshit with.
Right.
Like, I get that shit out of the way right away. Like, hey man, this is, if something's going to happen, if it's going down, let me know. That's fine. I'll at least give them that.
Brutal honesty is the best policy.
Well, I know that if you're not careful, you're going to get stuck with that $250,000 bill over the next 18 years.
Jesus.
And
or if you have a dumb kid, next 24 years.
Yeah, exactly. And so I at least know how to play damage control. Like, if there's even the slightest hint that girl's pregnant, I could tell there was telltale signs. All of a sudden everything's going great, honeymoon phase, to I hate you and every kind of fucking, dirty word in the book that they're calling you. Like, okay, all of a sudden something happened, the changes, and my deduction eventually led to, hey, this broad might be pregnant, and then all of a sudden I get the, hey, I'm pregnant. So, but yeah, just the one time, and I went, through the whole thing. Like, I was excited. I mean, I wouldn't say that I pushed her into it, but she was 22, I was 30 something. Like, her life was just getting going. We were neither in a position to have a kid, obviously, and she was a heavy smoker. Like, we're talking Marbreds, and her mom and her whole family, like, the house just reeked of cigarettes all the time. I mean, total white trash. But, a nice girl, and I think I actually knocked her up, like, on our first date, because we got an abortion like less than 2.5 months into our relationship. From the time we met, hooked up like on the second night. This was like a hookup in my parents' hot tub, so this was no rubber pull-out method. And both times that I know of that I've slipped one past the goalie, it's been the pull and pray, and I don't know if I pray to the wrong God or to no God or whatever, but yeah. So I mean,
you should stick with the anal system. That's definitely more.
I tried with this one, but she wouldn't have it. I think she was still a little young and inexperienced, and she we went through the whole spiel. The funny thing is that she was like a heavy rocker. So like the night before the abortion, we went to
Abortion Eve.
We went to a Power Man 5000 concert at the Rock nightclub.
Jesus
in the
Christ.
Fucking mosh pit. Here's me.
Well, she might have got a free abortion there.
My pregnant girl,
Jesus
her
Christ.
cousin. We're at a fucking headbanging mosh show, and we're just. Yeah, she didn't drink though. I mean, she wasn't a big drinker. She was a big pot smoker. So that's kind of like how we got together, you know,
Right.
like, oh, hey, cool. You know, we're at the bar. We met through a mutual friend, but like, yeah, cool. Let's go out on the patio and blaze. Like, I wasn't a huge drinker at the time either. You know, I mean, I'm a chameleon. I could slip in like, hey, if you're a boozer, let's fucking do it up. But if you want to just kick back and blaze, fuck, let's do that. So that was her jam. And, but like for the weeks leading up to it, like all of a sudden she's smoking a lot more. Like she never drank. She went out and bought a mini fridge and started stocking her fridge full of booze. I'm like, what's going on? Like instant personality change. Like everything changed about this girl. And like her, like, you're such a sweetheart and I really, really like you, to you're arrogant, you're an asshole, you're fuck you, you know, type of shit. I'm like, okay, there's definitely something hormonal going on with this girl.
Right.
And, but I'd only known her for like 6 weeks, and you can't even find out that you're pregnant for 5, you know?
Really?
So if you hook up on day 1, you have to at least miss your period first in order, you know, so 28 to 30 days. Now we're talking, okay, now it's been 2 weeks. Go check yourself. Oh, boom, it's positive. Took a second one. Oh, it's positive. It's great. You know, she worked at Subway, so I got the picture of the positive and then like the nice, like fast food restaurant bathroom floor tile, you know, so you could just see the.
Which restaurant was it? Just so.
Oh, this was Subway.
Oh, Subway. Oh,
This is
that
just
makes
your.
sense.
Yeah, but it's just funny. Like, oh, hey, my girl went, you know, taking a pregnancy test in a fucking restaurant bathroom. There's something novelty about it, and but I knew that I had to play damage control. And I was very nice to her. Everything that she threw, I was already 10 years older than this girl. So it's like, it's not like I've never been called a fucking arrogant asshole, self-serving prick before, you know, like that's day 1 stuff.
Right.
And, she, you know, so she eventually, you know, we talked about it and we eventually went and you have to go through the whole spiel. Like you have to go to the doctor and at first get confirmed that you are pregnant. They do a blood test and then they ask you how you want to proceed. And then you have to get a referral to go to the abortion clinic. You can't just show up to Planned Parenthood and say, I want an abortion. You have to it's like getting your weed card. You still have to go to a physician and get the okay.
Right.
Because you have to be pregnant, but you can't be too pregnant. You know, there's a window. And the girl that accompanied us to the clinic was actually one of those rare cases where she must have been like raped or something at 13 or 14, got pregnant, and she had actually go in front of the they had to have some deal pulled with the Supreme Court, you know, or whatever, the local Supreme Court, in order to get that legalized for her. You know, It was a special case because obviously, you know, at an extreme young age is the only. Oh, it was a late term abortion. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
It was a late term because, you know, just because at the age, you know, just didn't know. And then by the time you really found out and realized, you're either going to have a prom night dumpster baby or, you know, you were going to try and get the, get the push through. But yeah, we went through all that. We went downtown. We got to fight through the mob of protesters and got all kinds of, you know, interesting and helpful pamphlets on abortion and the female body.
Are the protesters there just all the time? Is that like a full
You're
time?
gonna burn in hell, you fucking baby killer. You know, that kind of shit. Every day you go down. It's basically in front of the parking ramp at HCMC. Really? You go right downtown. You're just mobs of people.
Go interview one of those guys.
Yep. Well, I was thinking about starting my own mob just across the street, like protesting the protesters. Like, let these fucking bitches through, you know?
Right.
Get in there with a big battering ram, you know, SWAT team, you know, making
Kill
sure
the babies! Kill the babies! Just cheering them
Excuse me, lady, can I pay for your abortion today?
Right. Buy one, get one free. We just get one today, and your next one's free.
Punch
on the house.
cards.
Right.
Frequent flyer.
All right. This is a long podcast. We've got one story left. We think the story was worth the wait. The story might be the most bizarre, most disturbing story ever recorded, captured, and on podcast form. Teebie, will you close the show with your bedroom massacre story?
I would love to. This one, I think this one makes it okay, you know, to play around in bodily fluids. You know, don't be afraid of blood. Don't be afraid of poop. Don't be afraid of cum and vaginal secretions. It's all part of nature, you know.
Sure.
Somebody made it dirty for us. So I used to work at Major's in Albertville. That place was awesome. And, you know, when you're working at a bar, you get to know a lot of people. You get away with more stuff than your average customer. But we went up there, some friends of mine and I, and we'd go up for our regular Thursday night ladies' night. That's when all the girls came out. Everybody was getting drunk and slutty. It was a good time. Me and my buddies wind up getting pretty tossed up. My homies, the guys that I rolled with were college basketball players. So they were 6'6", 6'8", and 6'9", you know, and then there's me, 5'7". I roll in there with these hoops players, and everybody's like,
he must be the manager.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
You know? I mean, it sucks because you can't walk into a crowd with guys that tall and not have everybody flock to them. How tall are you?
Right.
Oh, my God. So, you know, a guy like me, when you play in that type of competition, you have to play differently. You have to give up that queen more times than you want to. But so my buddy meets this girl. She's 23 years old. She's with her. Well, they kept calling her aunt. I'm not sure. She was like 41 years old.
Okay.
We go back to his place down the street. We hook up with these two girls. My buddy upstairs with the one girl, me downstairs with this 41-year-old grandmother. 41-year-old grandmothers, you know, they're all right. Like, you know, she was a little dry and she was a little rough around the edges, but, you know, she was still able to get the job done. She let me put it in her butt. She had no reserves against that whatsoever. Pretty, you know, standard one-nighter at my buddy's house. Well, the following week, I'm at the same bar. I show up there by myself. My buddies were out of town playing ball. And like later on in the night, this girl comes up and starts talking to me like she knows me, and I have no idea. Well, apparently this is the girl that my buddy had hooked up with that night. And she was definitely the better looking of the two, but like, you know, a 6 would be doing her justice. But she's greasy. I'm greasy. We start making out. We start getting all dicey out on the dance floor. We go to the bathroom. And this is how these bathroom hookups happen. Like, you and your girl go to the bathroom at the same time. And if the opportunity is there, like there's nobody in the bathrooms, there's nobody really standing in line. Oh, hey, why don't you come in here with me? You know, you're standing in the hallway making out and fingering each other, and you get drugged into the bathroom.
I'm going to have to try that with my girlfriend.
Oh, man. Dude, it's again, it's just an opportunity. It's like a thief that sees $1 sitting on the table. You just like, whoosh, you know, if the opportunity presents itself. And so we lock ourselves in the stall, and one of the girls that, I don't know, some broad told on us. So the bouncer comes over. He's like, hey, you guys got to, like, he wasn't being a hard ass about it. He's like, hey, you guys got to get out of there. But, you know, he was all right with it. And eventually we wouldn't come out. So he comes in and he grabs me and he kicks me out of there. And so she comes home with me. I really had no intention of I did. It's like, hey, you're making out with a girl. You're just implying that you're probably going to hook up somewhere. But if I didn't really care. But she did come back with me. She came all the way back to my house. And, you know, the night proceeded as such. We went up into the bedroom. I had just moved in with my friend. He's got a brand new townhouse. And one of the rooms, you know, 2 of the rooms were unused. And this place was all white. White bed, white walls, white carpet, white door, white shutters, white everything.
Perfect place for anal sex.
Just
Perfect
a spare
place.
room. Absolutely. People are going to know what you did there. And so, I mean, it was just an all-out fuck fest. I mean, it was just, anything that you can imagine, anything goes. I mean, we had to start and stop many times because this turned out to be like a 5-6 hour ordeal, to the point to where you're getting up in the middle of the night or in the middle of everything, and you got to struggle over to doing the army crawl through all your shit in your room or whatever to the window to open the windows up. And a couple of times in the midst of everything, you get up, you move around, you fall off the bed, you throw the shit back out on the bed, and finally, after my roommate, he's pounding on the wall, but he's saying, "Hey, you got any for me?" And eventually we get done. We go down the hallway, and she's like, "Oh, let's go take a shower." Okay. So she goes and gets in the shower. I follow down after I get in the shower. We're kind of fucking around in the shower too, and we get out. And as we're walking down the hall, she turns to go into my room, and my roommate's standing out there. He's standing there naked. I'm standing there naked. And this is my buddy who I've partied with and had plenty of threesomes with over the years.
Nice.
And we're, so he just for some reason he had some weed with him in his hand as he's naked in his hallway at 4 a.m. and yeah, here, smoke with me. Okay, cool. I was kind of telling him about what was going on. Yeah, I fucking snagged this bitch down at Major's and brought her back to the house. And he's like, oh, she's like, yeah, she doesn't look too bad. So I'm like, all right, well, high five. I'm heading back in there. And my door's locked. I'm like, what's up? She's like, you can't come in. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is my house. Yeah, I can come in. She's like, no, don't come in here. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? So I finally get in there and I flip on the light, and my words are going to fail me. My whole bedroom looked like a fucking balloon full of ketchup exploded. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was a scene out of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Right. My sheets, the carpet, there was bloody handprints all over the light switch, the door handles in the closet. How'd I even get over there? I don't know. All over. I mean, it literally looked like somebody was covered in blood and like struggling to get out. Right. You had handprints and you had bloody clothes, and oh man, all of the sheets. I mean, this wasn't just like one little ketchup packet dribble out of her pussy. Like, this was because of like
you don't realize it when you're fucking, because it just feels like.
Well, a couple of times we had to stop because it just dried up. Right. When this is like 4 or 5 hours into it and you're all wasted. I mean, this broad. I mean, it definitely took a toll, and I had no idea where the blood was coming from, how she lost so much and was still coherent.
I'm lightheaded.
Oh my God. So I was like, I was actually just standing there like in my own righteousness. I couldn't believe that I did this to somebody. And we were, I calmed her down, and we kind of pushed all the sheets off to the floor and found a clear spot on the corner of the bed to where we passed out until the sun came up. I gave her a ride back to her car.
It's like sleeping in a crime scene.
Well, the only thing that saved my ass in this whole deal was that it was a Thursday night, and my buddy had to work at like 7 a.m. So he got up and left. So then as soon as he left, then I left. I came home right away. And, this was like Pulp Fiction, calling the wolf. Oh, I'm on the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I had to go and buy paint and like turpentine, CLR. Oh man.
Should have just started a fire. Just burn the place.
I was, and the funny thing is that before I moved in there, he had an ex-girlfriend living with him, and she had a kid, and the kid stayed in that room, and the kid had spilled like apple juice or something on the carpet. So there was one spot on the carpet kind of by the door that was stained.
Right.
So, and there was a few spots on the rug that I just couldn't get up. But I've cleaned many rugs, and I wasn't too bad at it. But fortunately, there was already a few stains on there. But I mean, I had to repaint the shutters. I had to go buy new light switches. I had to take all of the doors off of the, out of the closet and clean them all up. I mean, it was disgusting, But I mean, I was so proud. Because I had never been...
That was your opus. That was your sexual opus,
oh
man.
My God. That's when I knew things were really going to change for me. That was that was the very first story that I ever blogged about when I built the website, theinappropriateboner.com.
You should have took pictures. That's the only thing you dropped the ball on. You should have had some.
Yep, this was definitely before smartphones. This was like 2008.
That would have been good digital for your website.
Yeah.
Pictures.
Yeah, she was, and I never heard from her again. She was, this was the classic, I'm separated,
Right.
I'm not fully divorced yet. Who knows? Oh, we've been separated for like a year. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean you just had a couple of kids with some dude, never got married, or maybe you are married? I have no idea. But, yeah, and I think I saw that girl one other time. I might have run into her at the bar once more, but she definitely liked, fishing in that pond, and so did I. And if you're bound to catch the same fish twice.
Well, she should clean up next time, though. She should be in charge of cleaning the murder scene.
Oh my God, she was so. Don't come in here. You can't come in here. For the life of me, I could not understand why.
Right?
What happened? Are you naked? I can't see you naked. What's up? We just took a shower together.
She had to realize you saw the blood on yourself, right?
Well,
kinda.
The fuzzy part of the whole night, lights were off. I didn't get to really see this stuff until she turned the lights on when I went into the bedroom, and the funny thing is that it's not like the bathroom was adjacent to the bedroom. Like, we had to walk out the door, past the stairs, down the hallway into the bedroom, into the bathroom.
Right.
Well, she must have just gotten up, knew that she had something going on, threw a blanket around her, and then ran to the bathroom. Okay, that was fine, unless she had some blood on her feet, which I'm pretty sure she did. I know I did. I mean, blood all over. I mean, classic. Dude, you want to talk about Redbeard? It was awesome, because I still had like red jowls after taking a shower. There was definitely still stain, like a fucking bear that just tore into a salmon, just.
On that note, I think that's the perfect image to close this episode on.
Old rusty coins, man. It felt like getting punched in the mouth with a handful of pennies. Jesus. But I gotta tell you, I'll leave you with this. Period blood doesn't taste that bad. And it's not a bad lubricant. The one time with that Sherry Minor, she dried up, but I just kept banging away, and when it started to loosen up, that wasn't pussy juice. That was definitely blood, but she just rolled with it.
It's nature's lube.
It is. It really is. And I made peace with it a long time ago, and I suggest you do too.
Fair enough. Thank you for coming on TV.
Oh, man, it's been my pleasure.
Your stories, man. Appreciate it.
Oh my God. Did you make it? How many of you are still listening? How many of you have made it through this episode? How many of you have made it through this episode without vomiting? How many of you have made it through this episode without masturbating? How many of you have made it through this episode but are frantically looking for hand sanitizer or something to disinfect your ear holes after listening to the disgusting filth that was captured in this episode? How many of you? 1, 2, 69 of you. Congratulations, you've made it. You've achieved another Filter-Free America podcast badge. You've ranked up. You're the next level of Filter-Free America listener. Holy shit! Oh, I think I just peeked out on the mic. Sorry about that. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So the show may be over after that one, but I hope we went out in flames with that. Yeah. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. That is that's Teebie Smalls. That's who he is, right? And again, as I told you in the beginning of the episode, that's what this show is about. Filterless conversations for the people that we share the world with. So you can look at this as a piece of an enjoyment audio deal, you know. You can look at this as like I said before, an academic study piece. Or if you got kids and daughters, you may want to use this as a warning. Like, holy shit, okay, daughter, I love you to death, but there's some disgusting men in the world, and here's an example. Listen to this, and go be a nun. There you go. All right, so, to anybody that was offended by that episode, sorry, but again, filter-free America. Anybody who enjoyed that episode, you're nasty, but also you're welcome. There we go. All right, we gotta get out of here. The episode's too long. Simplewebsite.us, that's our sponsor. That's where you go if you need help building a website on Squarespace. Simplewebsite.us, go there. Also, make sure you're buying your tickets now for the show I'm doing with Tom Simmons on November 9th and 10th at Sisyphus Brewing. Go to sisyphusbrewing.com, sisyphusbrewing.com, sisyphusbrewing.com. Buy your tickets right now because this show will sell out. Sisyphusbrewing.com, November 9th and 10th. Me, along with headliner Tom Simmons and MC and former Filter Free America guest Daryl Horner. We'll be telling some jokey jokes. And recording, at least Tom and I will be recording for future CDs. So yeah, is that it? Is that everything? Is that good? 3-minute outro? All right. Long episode, guys. You did good. You made it. Awesome. I love you guys. I love who you are. I want you to be healthy, strong. I want you to be safe in the world. I want you to never be a misogynistic, mean person to beautiful women. I never want you to do that, right? But that said, if you find a woman who's a disgusting, nasty freak like you, then you just go balls deep in that pussy, and don't hold back. Don't do it. Squirt jism everywhere, on the walls, on the ceiling, in her hair, in her face, wherever she wants you to do it. You do it. As long as it's mutual and everybody's in agreement and everybody is like, yeah, I'm cool with that. Are you cool with that? I'm cool with that. Yeah. As long as everybody's happy and no one's being forced to do anything, fucking go crazy. I love you guys. Take care of yourself. See you next episode. Bye-bye.